press start.
All right, so it's episode 170. I'm your host, Derek. We're going to be like super serious tonight, straight to the point. We only have 45 seconds per area that we're covering. So, like, if I ask you what's your thought on Diablo 4, you literally have 5 words. That's all you can use, okay?
45 seconds. That's what Derek said to her.
Derek gets it. This is exactly what I wanted this week. So
yeah.
All right, so let's just go around real quick. Hi, Kyle.
Hi.
That's all I wanted from him. We also have Daniel Freitas. Hi, Dan. Okay. And Jeff Widman.
Yeah. Come on. Let's go.
I made sure I gave all your government names. All right, so
time is money, money is power.
We really do have a lot to cover, and I don't want a 3-hour show. I want us to, have a normal show, but not 3 hours. So let's just jump in. We've got a lot of like new stuff that came out. So let's hit it off with anybody get Street Fighter 6?
Yeah, I did.
Anybody besides Kyle and I? All right, so let's jump in. Kyle, give us your thoughts on Street Fighter 6.
I got to more than I thought I would, which is great, and I played a bit of like the Battle Hub, which I don't know if you played any of that, Derek, but I really want to talk most about that, like the online hub. And I played like about 4 hours of the story mode, which
cool.
I like, but it's silly. Like it's silly, like in a way that I don't like it.
So not a good.
No, not a great like story mode. Like
it didn't give you like a Yakuza vibe.
No. I mean, like the moment stuff kind of feels Yakuza, and like just kind of like how kind of silly that is. There's some kind of like comparisons there, but like the first main missions of the opening days of this is like we have to get a counterfeit purse, and we have to make sure that this counterfeit purse is like believable enough to trick people, and I'm like, can I just fight some kung fu rivals? Like I don't like, what are we doing here with this story and stuff like that? So I don't really know what they were going for, like with the vibe and like the story that they wanted to tell here, but like it doesn't really matter because it's fun. I do like upgrading myself. I do like putting new clothes on myself. I do like going to new masters and learning new moves and stuff like that. Derek, have you played any of the story mode at all, or?
About 45 minutes of it, and that was pretty much all I was gonna say about it. I haven't done any like major story missions. Like I don't even know what you're talking about with a counterfeit purse, and that's probably in the beginning.
It is, it's the first thing, yeah.
So the only thing I did was did a couple of fights, and I just got where I was just running around the streets, and I was anybody who was fat and level 1, I was fighting them.
I do like that. You could just walk up to anybody and like an old lady who's like level 6. I'm like,
stop it.
I'm gonna beat this old lady's ass.
Wait, you can just beat the shit out of anybody, like
not anybody, but like 90% of people have.
But like an old lady or a fat dude, like
I beat up like all these street performers. I'm like, fuck these people and their street performances. Like. Yeah,
all right, that makes up for the purse thing, though. That makes up for the purse thing.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the fun stuff like makes up for like I don't care what I'm doing at all in this game, other than just like existing in this goofy world, which like maybe that's what they were going for, So
I think
it's hardly a criticism. Just
it feels like they were just like, okay, what does Mortal Kombat do? Okay, let's do a 180 of it. So Mortal Kombat's linear, more serious. I mean, I know there's silly stuff in Mortal Kombat, but you can tell the tone is more serious. Like they take their world and universe serious. Whereas Street Fighter is like our world is stupid. All our stories are dumb. Our characters have no real connection to each other, even though we try to write it in. So it was kind of like I knew it was going to be stupid, and the only thing I cared about was like the exploring, which I haven't done a lot of. Exploring, the leveling up, and then like the gaining like fighting moves from other characters is what I thought would be fun. So I had fun. Again,
it's
I only
delivering
played,
on all those marks for sure.
40 minutes of the actual story mode, and then I actually went in the actual the old school story mode where you pick a character and you fight through. And I beat Cammy's story, and it was stupid. But like
It is. It's like there's
Cammy
a cutscene at the
awesome.
beginning, and it's just like text boxes, and then there's a cutscene at the end, and it's just text boxes, and
Yeah.
that's pretty classic, I'd say.
Yeah. But
you're not getting
overall,
a lot of story out of that, you know. But like, it's still, I like that that's there. You still have an arcade mode, which is good.
Yeah, but there's a lot of stuff, and then I'll let you talk about the battle hub in a second. I didn't explore it a lot. Like they booted me into it in the beginning. Like I accidentally hit A real quick, and I was in it, and I was like, I don't want to be in this. I want to check out the story mode, because I haven't spent a lot of time with it. But I like. First of all, I love the way the game looks. It looks so good. It's very stylish. Like when you're fighting and you pull off like a special move and stuff like that. The style is really, really awesome. Graphics are great. Characters they picked, I don't know. I'm a pretty big Street Fighter fan, and they didn't have a lot of the guys I like.
I agree with that big time.
You got Ryu and Ken. I do love Cammy, but I like Cammy for all the wrong reasons, the perverted reasons. Although she is actually fun to fight with, and they actually took that away from me. They're like, Derek, pervert.
No more onesie for Cammy, yeah.
You don't get the onesie thong no more. But
it's not
like,
practical. Not practical.
But it is a really good fighter. Let me say this: I've made it clear in the past I am obsessed with Mortal Kombat. But when it comes to like controls and the fighting, Street Fighter kills Mortal Kombat because Mortal Kombat's like special moves are always like back, forward, down, all that stuff. So it's made for the D-pad. Where Street Fighter, I like to use joystick. Street Fighter's all about half circles and all that stuff. So you're pulling off like special moves by just doing half circles backwards and forward, where that's not as, it's in Mortal Kombat, but not as much. So I think it's a little bit more smoother and easier to pick up a Street Fighter game. It's hard to master, so I'm not talking about that. But it's easier to just pick up and start pulling off cool moves just from doing half circles. And you don't have to go in a menu and be like, forward, back, down, /X, Y, Z. No, you don't have to do all that crap.
Well, Street Fighter especially, and I don't know if Mortal Kombat kind of adopted this after the fact, but I think even as far back as like 4, they have like a great tutorial. Like they really break down the minutia of like how to do things, and if you want to learn,
there's hundreds of videos of tutorials, or not even videos. It's like skirmishes. Like here's 100 different ways. Yeah, like that is very much here.
Supposed
like
to be
every
the
specific
best
thing
practice mode in all of fighting games, like ever.
Yeah.
From multiple reviewers.
I will say that I really like the new modern controls too. Like, you know, the classic controls are obviously really great, but like there was some mirroring for like Smash Brothers where like triangle acts as like your smash move. So like your forward and B and back and B and up and B and down and B. Well, it's triangle in this because I'm playing on PlayStation 5 and like there's a special move attached to every direction. So it's like if I really want to like if I don't have all the like moves in my head or whatever, I can do modern controls. And like it simplifies it in a way without making it feel like you're putting it on like kiddie mode, if that makes any sense. It still feels like I'm playing a fighting game. It's just like it's a different style of control, you know. And there is also an automatic mode where it's like press any button and you go into a combo. So that's a whole different, you know, mode as well. So I do like how inviting it is, I will say, in terms of just like no matter what your background is or what your professionalism is or whatever, like you can walk in at any level and enjoy this game. There's a controller style for you.
Yeah, there is. It's for casuals and hardcore. So tell us about Battle Hub. I didn't explore it much.
The Battle Hub's just really cool. I just really like you go into a sense of space where you can walk up to like anybody and challenge them to an avatar fight, or you can walk up to arcade cabinets and like set up different style of fights and stuff like that. They even have old school arcade cabinets so you can play like Final Fight with people. You know, where y'all just walk up to an arcade cabinet and play like old school, like, you know, Fist of Fury or whatever. So it's like, so yeah, it's super cool. I like all that stuff, and I just like there being a sense of space. You can walk up to people and spectate their fight. You know, everything is just really welcoming, and being able to communicate with people is so easy in this game. And it's a very community heavy game, and I feel like where Dragon Ball Fighter Z picked up like really interesting senses of spaces in terms of like meeting up for places to play games. This takes that idea further in a really, really, really big, unique way. So I think it's super cool, you know. And you can even like throw dance parties there, so it's very Fortnite-y in that way, you know. Like you can go upstairs and someone can play DJ, and everyone can like stand there and like do dance emotes and stuff like that. So it's just like it's just a dumb sense of space while you're killing time while you're waiting for your next like match or whatever. So yeah, I really enjoy it. It's a really well thought out fighting game. I feel like if people have been waiting for like the fighting game that's going to take the world by storm, this is it for sure. I think it's gonna be the main attraction for multiple fighting game tournaments going forward. I think it's gonna be the belle of the ball for a while. So.
Well, it's reviewing super well, and like a lot of what I'm hearing is in general, like because 5 we mentioned before, like out the gate 5 had issues. It just like I think it was more not just like maybe the quality of it necessarily, but content wise, right? It like stumbled. It just felt like not a full game, and this apparently feels like a full on like game. Like
it feels like a lot.
There's a ton of modes in this. Where
I spent 4 hours alone on the story mode, a couple hours like doing online stuff, just even figuring out just kind of like that hub and stuff like that. And like I feel like I'm just scratching the surface of like everything that's in this game mechanically and mode wise. So good for them, man. I'm super excited. I'm a casual Street Fighter fan. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like I'll pick them up. I got talked into it because of the story mode in this game. I feel like it's delivering enough. I don't know why I was expecting some Grandmaster, Kung Fu storyline to be taking place over the story. Derek's right. It's kind of always been silly. Nothing ever has made sense in the series. So it's like, I think he kind of came in kind of understanding that, whereas I'm kind of learning that right now.
Yeah.
So
I did play the demo too, which had the story mode. So I already knew the tone was like,
yeah, I like the dumb mini games. I like making pizza, and I like beating up trucks, and like I like to make money and stuff like that.
That's old school, beating up the car, right?
Well, now it's a semi truck. So
now it's a semi truck. Yeah, everyone's beefed up. They're stronger now. So
you see how everyone's on HGH.
Have you seen everybody? Forearms?
They're basically trucks, right?
Oh yeah, he's got Popeye arms. He's got Popeye arms. Yeah.
He's got Popeye. Exactly.
I'm liking this game quite a bit. Derek, I hope you and I get a chance to get into the Battle Hub and at least walk around and do some matches together or something, because I think that would be a lot of fun.
I'm definitely going to play it. I mean, it's not going to be my main game right now, the next game we're going to talk about. Yeah. But I am going to play it more. I did get it on PC, so I don't know if they have it like where it's cross on the Battle Hub.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that,
Yeah. All right, so let's dive in. Of course, without being said, we like Street Fighter. If you're on the fence about it, I think you should get it. There's a ton of modes, a lot of
content
good
rich.
Stuff. It's very content rich, but I'm sure by the time anybody listens to this, if they were interested, they already got it. Let's talk about the game that's not officially released, but a lot of us have got it, and that's Diablo 4. Early access released June 1st. So did everybody get it, or
correction? It's called Demon Mommy Simulator 4.
Demon Mommy Simulator. Dan, did you actually get this game?
Yeah. No, I did. Yeah, I did.
Oh, nice. Okay, nice. I didn't know.
Did you get the early access one, or are you just getting
the whatever the middle edition was? I got that one. So
you got the same one I did.
Because I had it physically pre-ordered, but I was like, all right, you know what? Like this weekend will be a good because we're gonna record and obviously talk about it, and I figured my wife and I could at least get a few hours in.
Did y'all play some like couch co-op?
Yeah, that's just like awesome. With 3. That's just like with 3. That's ideally what I want. For me, it was like, well, this is going to be a co-op game. This is something we could play together.
Yeah,
so
no, it's amazing.
So yeah, I wanted to get at least a few hours in. We played like 3 hours total, so not like too much. But
all right, well, tell us. You start, because Kyle and I have already talked, and then we'll go to Jeff next.
Okay.
Give us your impressions of your 3 hours.
So the beta itself was literally the beginning. It was like the prologue. So when you start this game up, it's literally the same thing. So if you had played that, then you kind of know what you're getting into. I stopped when I got to that town. Like I didn't go any further, so I don't know how much further you could go in the beta.
You can go up further north, pretty much.
Okay.
Blocked off like all the Act 2 and Act 3.
It's almost most of Act 1. Yeah. Just the story. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. But yeah, it's visually it's compared to when I remember back to 3, not that it was like I don't know if cartoony is the right word, but this has like definitely a more realistic aesthetic to it. And obviously visually it looks really great, and the lighting is great, and reflections of just like little like pools of blood in random places like that, like, which is super gross and wonderful. So it's a great looking game. The tone of it is great. It's very dark, but so Diablo's always been that way. I mean, I guess if you've played Diablo before, I've only ever played 3. I never played 1 or 2. So I'm not like super familiar with the entire series, but I think the gist of it is angels versus demons, right?
Yeah,
Basically.
that's really
So more of that. You know,
they're both
angels.
not very good.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. So more of
really
that.
A good guy.
Exactly. So more of that, and yeah, so setting up couch co-op was actually a little bit of a pain, just for anybody who hasn't done that yet. So I booted up the game, and then when I went to turn on the second controller, the little prompt popped up in the corner. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So this should be easy. So I went to start that, and it was giving me an error. And I was like, all right, well, that's really weird. What's going on here? So I was like Googling around just to see what was going on. And basically what ended up happening is, so I have the second PlayStation account that's like my wife's for when we do play co-op. But like it was basically asking me to like re-log in, because I think I never actually like fully like completed her profile when I bought the PS5. So like I had to basically like kind of fully create her profile, but then once I got past that part, I had to create a battle.net account for her also.
For her, wow. Yeah,
so it's like, really, guys, like you can't figure out how to just tether her to like me, so it's just because I don't know. So basically, the gist of it is, if you're going to play co-op with somebody, there's a good chance you're going to have to create a battle.net couch co-op.
Sounds like there's some hoops to jump through. Yeah,
a few hoops. So you create the battle.net profile. But once we got in, it's very smooth. Wasn't
Do you
really
guys share a screen, or does it split it?
No, it shares. It shares the screen, yeah. And if she's like, if she was like a little further away from me, the camera would pan back just a little bit, so it would still show us in there. But like if I kept running in a direction and she wasn't moving the controller, it actually would make her character follow me like automatically, like on its own, which is actually kind of cool. So it didn't like cut her off or anything. But yeah, the game, I mean, to me, like it's kind of like the same so far. It's like as far as mechanically, it feels the same. It's a dungeon crawling RPG game. Like,
what classes did you two go with?
So I did Druid, because I thought Druid, because in the beta I just did like the Warrior, because I was just like, I just want to go in like no frills. But I was like, I'm gonna do the Druid because he's got the 2 wolves, and that's kind of badass. So I want to do something a little different. She went Sorcerer, because for her, I figured that would be easier for long range. Yeah, so she doesn't like get all overwhelmed, because she's just not into playing these games like we are. But yeah, so Sorcerer and Druid. Druid's really cool. I can turn into a werebear.
Yeah.
This big beefy like werewolf bear thing, or just a straight up werewolf, which is really cool. So the werewolf is like a little faster. So like basically when you're doing your attacks, and actually what I didn't really realize is when you start the game, you kind of just have like a basic attack that you're using your weapon with, right? You're hitting X and you're just using your weapon. But once you unlock like a first ability, for me, when I unlocked the werebear, that was designated to X, and then that was like my basic attack.
Yeah, I can't. I'm doing the same thing. I'm a druid, and I can't use my weapon.
Yeah,
but I will say this: I unlocked like it's a yellow, so I don't know if that's epic or whatever, but it's a yellow weapon. It's an axe.
Yeah,
and it actually unlocks. Because I hadn't unlocked an ability, it unlocks an ability for me, and it leveled up my lightning +1. So I was at already 2, level 2. So it took it to 3.
Oh, okay.
Well, when I use the lightning, you see me hold out the axe, and it uses the axe to shoot the lightning.
Oh, okay.
So that's what.
So you weren't turning into the werebear; it was using the axe, or.
So when I'm using the lightning, I don't.
Oh, you mean that lightning ability? You mean the lightning ability? Okay, yeah, I got you, yeah.
But other than that, like all my regular attacks, like I have 2 attacks for my bear. The standard attack where you're just swiping, and then I have one where he like basically pounces.
Okay.
Is that the one where you pounce the ground and the ground like moves?
Or
have you not gotten that far yet?
I don't think I've leveled it up that much. Okay.
Yeah, you'll get there, and it's like you hit the ground and it makes the ground like go up,
like a wave.
Like like a ripple effect. It's really cool.
With the axe, I did get This is the part I didn't have leveled up. It's a special move. I assigned it to RB. I'm playing on Xbox Series X. and if you hit RB, it like these rocks come out and like smash the guys. So it's pretty cool because I wasn't gonna level that up, and I'm like, okay, cool. I just got that because I'm equipping this weapon. This weapon's badass. Like that's awesome. So, anyways.
I think the more realistic take on the visuals of the whole world, and with it actually legitimately looking really nice, even though the game is like you're not noticing a lot of the tiny little details because of the style of game it is, with the camera being kind of panned back and top down. It's like you're not totally catching all like those details that you would in other games. But like, yeah, it is a beautiful game, and like the animations of like certain moves, like you're saying, with like the ground coming up and rippling, like it looks really good. Like it looks great. Well,
like your cliffs for Tails.
You know what?
Diablo's all about the ground. Like the ground looks super cool and like detailed, especially like muddy areas and stuff like that, or the blood getting crushed into.
Dude, there's an area up northeast-ish that's like kind of infected with somebody's blood, and just wait till you get there, dude. The ground
there's some really like epic looking, just metal cover looking, imagery.
That's what I was gonna say. My whole love for cliffs is something might be combating that. There's the freaking, what is it? What the hell was the game that just came out recently? That's Scorn. There's like a very Scorn style dungeon that you early on.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's part of the story, right? Where it's like the walls are moving and stuff.
There's like almost like spider legs just sticking out of walls. It's not whole spiders, but it's just their legs all moving and really creepy. And there's like intestine-looking walls and skulls and shit. Like that dungeon is super gross, but amazing.
They do a good job. Like there's a lot of places where you walk in and you're in a cave, but like there's like a whole natural ecosystem there with like trees and moss and yada yada, and it's just like everywhere you go and every little area you walk into, it's really easy to make every cave or every dungeon look the same, and they just kind of don't,
Right.
Sure, I'm sure as you get further into the game, there's going to be some similarities, but I've been really enjoying the amount of diverse looking biomes and areas and stuff like that. So
when I first started playing, like I was trying to explore everything, and so you would find like this entrance to a place, and I'd be like, oh, it's just like a room, so that kind of sucks. Well, I ended up running into like this side quest, and most of the side quests in the beginning of the game are real short. And this one, I ended up finding the location, and I went in there, and the side quest was like to set 6 prisoners free. That freaking cave was forever long. There were so many epic boss battles. It's like a swampy, muddy, snaky area. Like it was so freaking cool to look at, to explore, because there was a lot to it, and I was expecting something a little bit shorter. And I'm pretty sure
those dungeons are long.
I was like, unless I was doing like a main mission but didn't know, but no, it was a side quest.
It was a side quest, for sure. Quest. Yeah, those dungeons, there's 100 of them, and they're all about that long. You know what I mean? Okay, so it's like that's so much content. Like that's so. And
then I ran into like a boss, like in the like a world event boss. Like I ran into multiple of those. Those are super cool.
Yeah.
So, but
and that's what's
before
cool,
I
like
talk about
when
it,
6 or 7 people are all doing their really elaborate animations and moves all at the same time to fight a world boss, and like maybe a couple frames are dropping, but really you're seeing just the chaos of everything, and you're seeing all the enemies moving, and there's more enemies on screen than ever in any of these types of ARPGs that I've played before. It's impressive how
is everybody
much
playing
this game
on a
working.
console on this one, or did anybody go PC?
Yep.
Okay, so everybody went console. Okay, so before we jump in more, let's get Jeff's impression. So, Dan, you like it overall, right?
Yeah, it's really fun.
Your wife enjoying it too, or is she kind of like?
Yeah, I mean, she thinks it's really gross, but it's fun.
I mean, it's very deliberately
and she's
gothic.
Such a baby about like animals dying in games, and I always just look at her. I'm like, you understand this is not a real fucking horse, right? Like, it's not a real horse, honey. But like, I love you, but it's not a real horse. Like,
I'm not killing this bear.
I'm not, or if like
we have to, he's killing us. Yeah.
Well, bears are dicks. A lot of wildlife running around.
There are,
stuff, right? And like she accidentally like killed a deer swinging at something, and she was like, "Oh my god!" And I was like, "I was like, all right, sure." but continue, Jeff. Continue.
All right, Jeff. Give us your impressions, your thoughts overall. How long have you played? What characters did you go with? And
I don't know exactly. According to PS5, I'm like 20 something hours in. I've been playing I played super late for me on a work night, Thursday night, and then Gosh, I think I took like a couple hours break yesterday, but I went from like 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. yesterday. And then today, just off and on, because there's been some hiccups with logging in.
There's been some hiccups, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But we all kind of expected that in the first week, especially the closer we get to the 6th, which is the official launch date.
I was gonna say I'm a little more nervous because I ran into I haven't played it as much, but I ran into login issues today, and I'm like, this isn't the full batch of people. So what's it going to be like on the 6th? It
seems like a lot of errors. It's not server load problems, but a lot of login error problems. So
authentication.
Authentication issues, licensing issues, and stuff like that. So it's like, weirdly enough, it seems like they have the servers to withstand the hits that are about to come. But like, there's all these other problems going on behind the scenes. It feels like that hasn't stopped me too much, but today was particularly bad for sure.
Okay.
Anyway, my main for now, I guess, until I get to a high enough level where I'm like, okay, I'm going to switch classes, is my main is a necromancer.
Okay.
And he is, I mean, I would say he's OP, but I think I do okay just as much as everybody else. Like, sometimes I'll die and be like, oh, I died. I didn't realize I could die like that. You know, like sometimes you just don't watch your health enough and you get that one hit and you're like, oh, okay, well, I thought I had guys to help me. But sometimes it's not enough. Like the most I can summon currently is 7 corpses or whatever you want to call them, resurrected to follow me around. And you have like Necromancer's build is like very, very different from everybody else's, it sounds like, because you start with just basic skeletons. And then there's like 3 different classes of skeletons you could pick from. And then you move up to, there's like a Reaper class. And there's like 3 different kinds you could choose from there. And then you eventually get a Golem, which is, when you get a Golem, it's one giant, it's like the Druid Bear. But
so you unlock the Golem game that came out last week?
Yeah, Smeagol's just following you around and dying left and right.
And then Diablo 4, you can play Golem, yeah.
But the Golem,
you start playing a stealth trash game. Yeah,
I really didn't care for the Golem like at all. Like it was just she whatever, no gender, wasn't absorbing enough enemies at all. Like it was doing a ton of damage, but like I was like getting hit way more frequently.
He wasn't holding aggro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then I looked at the I've been following a build from I think it's Rock Paper Shotgun. Their build is very good. It's a Corpse Exploder build. And I didn't realize you had to scroll down further and it tells you which summons to use. So it's like, hey, you should probably use the ones with the skeletons and the Reapers. And for the Golem, if you don't use one, you can just opt for a sacrifice, and I get extra like 15% critical or whatever. So that's awesome. As soon as I found that out, I was like, oh, well, what am I doing then? Why do I have Golem set to an actual setting? Why am I not using one of the sacrifices? So that's awesome. It's just this game just feels so good to play, and like and it's really, really difficult to stop. Because you're like, no, I'm gonna go do this one more thing. Okay, no, I got. It's like the Division 2 thing. Like that's what it reminds me of the most, even though they're completely different games. But they have the same kind of structure mission wise, where you're like, okay, this mission.
They are both the same genre ARPGs, so they do have that kind of. True. They do kind of have
like,
that similar
missions
cycle.
Are so close to each other that you're just like, I mean, I'm here. You know, might as well go over here and do it.
Yeah.
And then when you're at the base, you know you get in the rhythm of knowing exactly where to go, and like
I gotta go to the jeweler, I gotta go to the blacksmith, I gotta run my errands real quick. Yeah.
Right. Hey, I've been dressed up in this color for too long. I'm gonna change my cosmetics. Like I mean, you go through this pattern pretty much every so often. It's so much fun, dude. And Necro is a hell of a class. It does feel, I mean, especially in Tier 1. Which when I'm solo, I play World Tier 1 because I want to beat stuff and not get frustrated. Obviously, multiplayer is a different story. I've mostly played multiplayer with like 2 to 3 people, usually. I think on night 1, Kyle, we played like with 4 people for the most part the whole time.
I need friends. I'm trying to do this solo, and I ran into, without like spoiling it, I didn't run into, it's a main mission. Yeah, it's like I would say the second main boss. I would think it's a very long dungeon. You're with a girl. and then you go meet her mom. Well,
Yep.
her mom keeps wrecking me, and I don't know what to do because it's just too much confusion, and my druid's so damn slow, and the only thing that I have that's ranged is the lightning, and it's not effective enough. So I've been very, very.
I don't remember that
frustrated
fight for
with that.
some reason.
Yeah, no, she'll have like hell spawns that are like feeding off of her energy, and you have to kill those things to like sever like the shield or whatever. Yeah, it's a tough fight. Yeah, it's
We
a
must
tough
have
fight.
done that multiplayer because I don't remember soloing that one. I soloed the first boss, and I soloed there's a boss later in Act 2 that I soloed that was really epic. It was like towards the end.
Okay.
But by that point, I have adjusted to the gameplay where I'm like, I know how to dash. I know how to like the corpse explosions. By the way, amazing. The build that I found has what's called corpse tendrils, and it'll summon tendrils out of a corpse and pull enemies towards it, and I'll just start exploding corpses on the enemies, and it'll just drain the crap out of their health. It's so OP in that regard. But don't get me wrong, I take tons of damage too. Even on tier 1, I'm like, holy crap!
It's
what's going on?
considered like we keep on using this term OP for necromancer, but like just to be fair, it is considered an advanced class. You know what I mean? It is not a class that like anybody would be like, hey,
barbarians
get your newbie
melee,
friend to
melee.
play it. There's a lot of stuff going on in that class. So like it's OP, but like you're working for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's the thing. I feel like I'm in Act 2 when I got to that final boss fight, which is, my God, again,
it's awesome.
The creature design is just
acts
incredible.
There's
6.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So don't do side stuff like at all. Go through the main mission, because I just found out like a few hours ago that when you hit level 50, you're capped at World Tier 1 and 2. Like, you can't get any more XP. So basically focus on the main campaign. When you beat it, then you can change world tiers. And then
my problem is, I would love to do that. My problem is I felt like I had to do side quests because I couldn't beat this boss. And I don't have anybody helping me, and I'm like,
were you at the right level? Like the
thing is everything keeps going up. So
it should be scaling with you.
Yeah, so that's kind of annoying. It's not like I can go, okay, let me get to level 20.
You can't go grind and then come back in. No, I mean, you're going to have to bring someone in, so...
Yeah,
hit me up, bud. I'll get you through that fight. I've been through that fight.
I'm going to play after this show, so even if it's like 1 or 2 in the morning, I'm going to play.
I'll run.
Yeah, do we know like how that works though? Because that's what's always complicated with some of these games is like leveling discrepancy and
account.
But I'm saying the level discrepancy. Like if somebody's level, 5 versus a friend being level 10, like what is it?
It doesn't matter. Everything scales to you. So like I'm seeing everything at my level, he's seeing everything at his level, and it's doing some. I mean, it's how most co-op games are. Borderlands is like that. Division is like that.
Division
most,
is like that.
Yeah, most games are like that, where you're fighting your leveled stuff, and all the math that's going on in the background is making it so y'all can be in the same party together without.
Which, by the way, that technology on itself is pretty awesome.
I can't believe they figured that out. However many years ago, whoever figured that out was able to do it. I'm also on level 41, and I'm like starting Act 3, so I'm like at this point I am resigning to never touch a side quest again. Because I need to finish. I need to get my horse. Act 4, I think the first mission in Act 4 is when you get your horse. So just plow through it, get to there, and then you can actually just ride around wherever you want to, instead of having to be like, I got to get the fast travel so I can actually go. So like, instead of being concerned with discovering new towns and getting more fast travels, you can actually just get a horse and ride everywhere. And also,
is this your first experience with a Diablo game?
It is, yeah, and I didn't expect to get obsessed with it to the degree that my brother played 2 and 3 so much. I didn't expect to get obsessed to the level that he got, but I am, and he doesn't buy new games a lot. Like last new game he might have bought was like Valheim, or not Valheim, Elden Ring, and he sunk like 300 hours into that, 400 hours into that.
Why are you on our podcast and not him?
Because that's the only new game.
He sounds like my type of guy.
You can come on once a year and talk about the one game.
Whereas Diablo 4 is like, he is so pumped for this. He's like, I'm totally getting it when it actually comes out. He's not getting the deluxe version. It's like, I'm getting it when it comes out, and I'm like, cool, we can do crossplay.
Cool.
It's gonna be so much fun. I also did start up a barbarian run, and I only did half an hour of it, but I'm already at level 6. And
you level up pretty fast in the beginning.
You do.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, but I noticed that I'm at 6, and the next main story mission is level 7. But I feel like as I'm on the way there, because it's a little far away, I feel like I can just level up easily, like because I'm just annihilating people. And there's definitely a difference in how you're managing your combat, because the barbarian gets like multiple weapons, and you're not really pressing a button to change weapons. It just depends on your attack, pretty much.
Yeah.
But the more you melee with Fury. What I selected is the Fury. I'm using the same website for this build, rock paper shotgun, and they had me unlock Fury first. And by the way, I came over with 3 skill points already, and with 6 health potions already from my unlock from the last.
Yeah, you should. Your map
carry your renown.
Yeah, carry the renown. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, which was awesome. I was like, cool, I can get Fury right now. And then the more you build up your Fury, that's your mana, I guess, and that allows you to, use I got like a hurricane type of attack where I'm just swinging the weapon around using Fury. But
I'm just
in order to build
if
Fury,
I picked the wrong class for me and my style of play, because I'm like,
maybe
dude,
you're
you're
trying
so
to solo.
slow.
Yes, yeah. If you're trying to solo, or you find yourself soloing a lot, Druid's going to be tough.
Druid's to me is like a support role. Like,
I'm not following any guides or anything, which I do a lot. I do that a lot with games, but this one I've only put in like 3 hours, and I'm just like leveling up certain stats that I'm like, oh, I like this. This is cool, and they're powerful, they're effective, but it just seems like I'm in that particular boss fight. I'm so damn slow, and there's so much traffic in the third part of the fight. I can beat the first 2 parts. The third part, it's mass confusion. I'm like, I'm dead. I don't have any health. There's nothing I can do. The last time I played it, I was literally running around with one little smidgen of a bar, no potions. Nobody's dropping any potions, and all I'm doing is trying to avoid everything. I'm like, I'm just gonna die. There's nothing I can do.
Are you trying to do tier 2 solo? Because that's tough.
No, I'm on tier 1. I think. I think I picked adventure.
The delay on dodging is tough. I do kind of wish it was a little more arcadey in that sense, where you could, or at least like cut the time in half.
You'll get better gear. You'll get better gear that allows you to dodge in more succession.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Like I have boots that in my Necro build, I have boots that allows me 2 dodges, and I assume it only increases.
Cool. That's
but the Barbarian one, I feel like, is a good one for solo too, because it is a little more nimble. It is a tank, don't get me wrong, but it's a little more nimble than a Druid. So with boss fights like that, I can at least feel more confident in being able to run away when I need to.
Yeah.
To get some space, I guess. Whereas Druids, I feel like
because Druids,
it's a good support role for co-op. It really
Druid's is not what I normally use. I would have just gone Barbarian like I did in the beta. That's just normally what I do.
I wanted to go Rogue, and I'm wondering if I should have just stuck with
he'll be back in a sec, but Kyle is a Rogue, so he'll be able to speak to that. And my understanding is because they're so fast that I assume they take more damage automatically.
Yeah,
because of
I would think so.
Yeah.
But I would imagine
same with like Necros or whatever.
You probably have the ability to maneuver around a lot faster.
Yes.
And that would probably be to my advantage.
Yeah.
I'll just speak to. I was gonna go to Kyle next, but since he's not here, I'll just talk about my history with Diablo. Never played 1 and 2. I actually thought about buying 2 because I got it advertised on Xbox that it was $15 this week, and I was like, for like the deluxe edition that comes with stuff for 3 as well. And I was like, all right, maybe I'll buy it before 4. I'm pretty excited for 4. And then I started watching like one review of it, and I was like, no, this looks so archaic. No. And I didn't hate 3, but I didn't love it. It wasn't like something where I was like, oh, when 4 was announced, I'm definitely buying 4.
Yeah,
I didn't really get excited for 4 until I played the beta. Like, people were hyping it up when they were talking about it, but I didn't care. Once I played the beta and I thought I was just going to play for an hour and ended up playing like an 8-hour session or whatever I did, I was like, this game's way, way better than 3. And I know Jesse, who I talked to a lot, was like, it's just like 3. I'm like, nah, not to me. I get if you're just looking at it from a combat standpoint.
Maybe in the beginning.
but like the aesthetics, the world, the big thing for me, and I know Rob is like this too. We're big Destiny fans. So we absolutely love that we're just exploring this open world, open area, whatever you want to call it, and we just run into world events and co-op
I love
sessions.
world events. Yeah.
And that's literally, and maybe you guys can correct me if I'm wrong on this. The only negative I have is, yes, I know you can invite randoms in, but I kind of wish I could just open my game up so if people want to join me, maybe they're at the same area, they can just join me instead of me going through.
I'm kind of surprised that doesn't exist.
Yeah, like a call for help, like
maybe
Destiny
that's something. Maybe that's something that happens down the line once like things are stabilized and the game's launched and stuff. Because I feel like everyone's gonna just a lot like Destiny. When you get to the end game, you're gonna be doing like hell or nightmare versions of like or remixes of old dungeons and stuff or story beats. So it's like I hope that there is a way to kind of bring people in because like this ain't a game that you can play alone once you hit that end game. You know, it's just like Destiny.
Apparently, you can't play it alone if you're me.
That's my gripe, and it's always been the case with these kind of games. Is like I just and you know I think that's also kind of what applied to the delay supposedly, right? With what was it, the Justice not Justice League,
Suicide Squad.
Yeah, just Suicide Squad. Thank you. Is the always connected nonsense. Why can't they figure out to just give me the option to turn that on and off? I don't want to log into your freaking servers, dude. I just want to play with my wife. Like, I don't need to log.
I think things are just so tied to servers these days that like they're not separate anymore.
But I'm not seeing the logic of why it has to. Like,
for this game, I see the logic. Suicide Squad, I don't know if I would have saw it, but
I don't see it for this one either, though.
Because it's like just Destiny, though. So even if you don't want to play with other people, that's totally fine. But there's still like world events. There's things that are actively happening that aren't in like a single player campaign. So I get what they're doing. They're trying to connect not only players, but they have systems built in that are actively online that load. Like, hey, in an hour, this boss is going to unlock. In an hour, this boss. So I don't think they have the means to run it both single player and then run it like a games of service.
Well, what's a world event? What is that exactly? Is that just like the sort of blip that's on the map and then you go there and there's like a little mini boss or something?
Yeah, like there's usually I think a yellow circle, and if you walk into it, it'll be like entered the world event.
My wife and I did it, and we were fine. I didn't need anybody. Like, I don't need anybody.
But I'm saying if you're not online, I'm saying that stuff's not going to load.
Sure.
That would be out. Maybe there's other stuff. I'm just using that as an example. There could be other stuff that's like, no, dude, the game doesn't actually run unless we're online.
Because I kind of think a lot of the things that make the game run itself, even like from the coding aspect, is like tied to online. Why did they do that? Yeah, we could talk philosophically about why that was the choice.
Probably easier
all day, but
to
like
meet the deadline.
Yeah,
for launch.
Yeah, but like that's just the way the gaming industry is now. I think that you can take away a lot of processing power by like making things load on the server end, so games can just run a little smoother.
And obviously, I get
modern day gaming. You know,
I get the logic of. I definitely get the logic of it, but it's just frustrating because the bottom line is when these games come out, it's always that bullshit of this connection issues, and it's just like that would be easily solved if that just you could turn it off and just be an old school gamer and just be like, I don't want to do that. I just want to play by myself. All right, I
grew up playing MMOs, man, and every night on launch night for WoW, for City of Heroes, for City of Villains, for Lineage 2, for every MMO to ever exist ever. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. You're waiting 2 to 3 hours that first night. That's just the way it is, you know. And it sucks. You know, go make a cup of coffee or something, I guess. But like, and I'm not condoning it, but sadly, I am like just going.
Yeah, we're like expecting it.
This is kind of, and like they threw that term around MMO loosely a lot. You know what I mean? Like when marketing this game, not that it is a full blown MMO, but just the way that like when you walk to a city and suddenly there's like 100 people in that city walking around doing their errands and stuff like that. Like they're trying to blend that MMO experience to a single player game, or
they're definitely doing the Destiny.
It's a blend.
Thing.
There's some kind of hybrid going on here for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think it also lends to you know, like kind of the all the talking online. You know, they obviously want people to be speaking positively to their game, and obviously there's always going to be the schmucks online that just want to talk out their butt.
Reddit
but like
has the biggest Diablo 4 hate boner ever. Even during the reviews that were all like, here's the Metacritic aggregate, and it was like high 80s. Especially earlier on, it was like a 90 maybe. And everybody was just like, yeah, but Blizzard microtransact. And I'm like, yes, Blizzard sucks, like historically speaking.
Sure.
From the going for your wallet perspective, but like, if the game's reviewing well and people played the beta and had a good time,
it's the
why
same
are
thing
you
with,
just being bitches about this? I don't understand.
It's the same thing for the cell phone game, where it's like when people reviewed the game, people were like, "This is actually a really good cell phone game."
Sure.
However, it is just littered with microtransactions. But like, you don't have to buy those, you know? Like, it's just, it's one of those things
I haven't bought a single cosmetic. People that are bitching about that are just like hung up
they
on something they're never going to buy to begin with, you know? Like,
it haven't bothered me.
Well, basically, the main thing I was trying to say was, is like this that kind of stuff too. And I know it's just me because again, I am old fashioned, and I know Kyle, you said you grew up with those, so I didn't. So that's why for me, it's like I am of like that old man mentality of like I wish they could separate
my lawn.
Sure, exactly.
Get off my internet.
I think it was,
but it lends negativity to the conversation of the game, right? Because it's just then it's an easy thing for people to target and really like. I'm not actually mad. I'm just kind of like I wish they would do that. I wish they would take the time to figure out.
I didn't grow up with it either, but I think I got used to it when Kyle and I and our friend JD, we were all trying to do Division 2 and Mark 2, and we just kept getting kicked out like launch week, like the entire weekend. We kept getting kicked out
all the way through a mission.
And I was getting mad, and you guys were the ones that were like,
"That sucks.
This happens. Like this happens all the time." I was getting so mad. But you know, now with Diablo 4, when it happened just today, it happened for a couple hours. There was an authentication issue with the servers, and we were all just like, all right, well, let's just step away. You know, there's other things.
I guess I'll go play Street Fighter.
There's good and bad to it. There's good and bad to it. I get Dan's point, but I also know that I personally knew what they were selling me, and I know what direction they're going in, and I understand why you want to always be online, but also B, that there are going to be issues because you want to be always online. They want that connection. Here's the reality. I play a lot of single player games. I do come back and play them, but when I play it and beat it, I usually move on. The industry's going, we make a lot more money on people that don't move on. We make a lot more money on when they
Sony is leaning into that now.
Yeah,
Sony is that now.
Half of their showcase
was all with their friends and they're online.
Yep.
So can we make this game? Plus, we can load in more new stuff. Why do you think they have these world events and stuff like that? It's because they're like, it's something fresh, something new.
Well, and every season's a new story. So they're like, when this season's over, the season hasn't even started yet, guys. I think the season doesn't start until June something. Like middle of June. Yeah, middle of June or whatever. And then when season 2 starts, a whole bunch of new story missions will just drop, like DLC or an expansion. But you don't pay for it. It's just, you know, it's just cool. That's part of like again, like it being online and then being able to just like procedurally generate a quick, you know, dungeon using like similar assets and stuff like that. So, you know, like again, I feel like the explanation to Dan's qualm isn't really like a justification. It's just a sad look into like
it's a sad reality.
Again,
I'm not an excuse.
I'm not
Let's
mad
move
about
on.
And I don't want to sound like I'm like excusing it. More just observing it and going like, yep, this is still
what it is. It is what it is. Like,
So before we move on from Diablo 4 conversation, I want to get Kyle. I would say Kyle's the fanboy. You're a big fan of Diablo, right?
Yeah, sadly, I much like Dan, I just started at 3. I didn't have time to play.
Okay, I thought you played them all. All right.
I've watched friends play 1 and 2, but like they were just. I didn't play PC games growing up, you know, so it's like they were a little before my time in terms of that. But 3, I was a huge fan. I've played it on and off for years and years and years and years until this one came out. I'm having a great time with it. I'm playing a crit shadow, you know, rogue. So everything that I do is about stabbing them for crits and you know, putting shadow damage on them.
Stabby.
Manipulating vulnerability, yada yada. It's just I'm a glass cannon. I get in, I hit a lot, I hit hard, I get out, you know. And it's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. And much like how there's a lot of different necromancer, you know, builds and stuff like that. Like every class has like multiple different style of builds or whatever, like if you're a mage, you have 4 elements to choose from, you gotta pick one. You can't be
a lightning one, fire one, or during the beta I was like picking both, and I was like, you can't do that. Like,
so what's cool is that like if you have like a whole group of mages, like, and y'all all have all 4 element, like y'all are probably gonna do pretty good, like so it's really nice that there's so many different ways to spec your guys, and I'm just having a great time. I'm playing a lot in groups, so like picking up on the story's been kind of hard because everyone's screaming and stuff all the time,
or skipping cutscenes, and you're like,
or skipping cutscenes or whatever. But like the bit I'm picking up is like still cool, and like the imagery is just like, I think that's like the real storytelling. Again, like
actually, I think I did most of Act 2 solo. I would split off before I would end my play session.
That story with the father and the son's awesome.
Oh my god, it's good.
Super good. Yeah.
So I was able to watch all those.
If you're here for the story, like there is one there, and it is good. It's just like it's hard to digest when you're playing with.
I think if people want to experience the story, but they really want to play with people, they should just create 2 characters to start. One
I literally
solo.
That's why I did my barbarian.
One's your co-op, dude.
My barbarian's gonna be like, hey, you want to jump in? Like, if somebody asks me, you want to jump into my role to help me progress the story? I'm like, okay, I'm gonna switch my barbarian and do that, because I don't. My necro is like too high level now. I don't need more XP. For now. I'm going to do the story at my own pace on that one. Or I think Kyle and I are going to try to, progress just story and not touch any side stuff during some of our playthroughs together. But yeah, that's literally just create a second character for that.
Yeah, and I suggest it too, because like Diablo 3 story is not great. Like you'll get those like classic great Blizzard cutscenes, which you get in this too, mind you. But like there's actually like real good voice acting now. That wasn't the case in Diablo 3,
Well, I really like the voice actor of Laura.
Yeah, his deep voice.
I've heard
he was in the movie The Witch. He played like the dad, the abusive dad or whatever in The Witch, and that voice is like
abusive.
Yeah.
Of course.
I like abusive father. Succession. Abusive father.
For God's sakes.
I mean, so that stuff is there, and I'll say that while there's a lot of improvements from 4 to 3, there's a lot of improvements. It is more of a refinement than a reinventing of the wheel. Like this is the best an ARPG has ever felt. It doesn't quite feel like it's the most not ambitious, next level or formative or evolutionary, chapter in the ARPG genre. Right. It's just all the lessons everyone has taken all the way up until today or yesterday or Thursday or whatever they've put into this game, and I feel like it's just a love letter. It's a culmination and a love letter, of the genre, And
I agree.
It's not something that's reinventing the wheel, but like I don't think the wheel needed to be reinvented.
No, wasn't
everybody wanted Diablo.
Yeah. This isn't the Elden Ring of ARPGs or anything.
I was super interested in, but 4 has a totally different vibe and feel to it.
Yep.
I definitely think one thing I do want to touch on before we move on is I think not only is the world and graphics beautiful, which we already talked about, but the music. I'm not a big like music guy when it comes to video games. I know you guys like the soundtracks and stuff like that. I'm not that guy. But this game, as I'm playing, I'm like, dude, this is totally setting the tone. Yeah. Like it's giving me that dark, evil, gritty, like gross vibe, and it's real. It's really well done. It's really well done.
Even when you go back to town and those like violins kick off, you're like, okay, we're safe. We're safe. We're in town.
A little more upbeat and dancey.
They're very good with the
cues. Like an Irish type of way or something.
It does really like your job capturing the vibe of an area, or a scene or whatever, And again, those Blizzard cutscenes, they're here, man. They're so here.
Oh my god, they're so good.
They are so here and they're so good, man. That opening 14-minute like cutscene at the very beginning of the game is out of this world, Like
I did. I love that one. I did skip it when I played it because I already saw it, but it's really.
If you've ever played an ARPG or Diablo-like, and you're like, yeah, I like this. This is the best version of that ever. I think that's just period.
Especially because some cutscenes are so seamless. Like I don't think they've ever had seamless-looking cutscenes to this level where you're in gameplay and the camera just zooms in and then it's this cutscene.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, that's because the graphics are so close together now.
And again, like someone said it
current gen.
before, it's like you may not get it a lot of appreciation because it's so pulled out, but like if you really stop and look at everything, or if you somehow can figure out how to look at a boss before it comes and pummels you, it's very detailed, all the way from like blood on the fur of like beasts and stuff like that to just the detail of their faces and attributes. It's just it's really something so special, man. Yeah, it is. Really
it looks really good on next gen consoles. Like I liked it on PC. Like I downloaded it on the beta and played it on PC. I thought it looked amazing, obviously on mine, but I didn't feel like the drop off on consoles was really there. Whereas I see that with a lot of other games. PC too. Yeah, I didn't see the drop offs. Because they're running this at native 4K. They're running at 60 frames per second, and it's very detailed version of their native 4K. So I imagine if I downloaded it on my rig, which is high end, I would probably see some differences if I played it at Xbox for a while and then came over. But just from memory, I was like, it's not that big of a drop off. Because second beta I played on Xbox, so that's why I was like, I told Jeff, because I know he originally pre-ordered on PC. I was like, I'm just gonna go Xbox. I can get it a little bit cheaper on Xbox, and I get to play it on my 65-inch 8K TV, like just relax mode. I think this game's perfect for like relax mode instead of a long 8-hour session, in front of my monitor. So. It's really good. It has me hooked. It's gonna be, I think, my main for a while until I get sick of it. But I'm hoping I at least beat the campaign. All right, so let's move on to the next one. I don't know who got this besides me. System Shock released.
I bought it but didn't play it. But I did play the demo, so I do remember.
I played the demo too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I played the original.
There you go.
It's definitely an improvement on that. Let me be sure of that.
It's a little different. It looks a little different.
Yeah, it looks a little different. Yeah.
So I only played a little bit because I haven't been able to game a lot this week, which I told y'all in the chat with everything going on at work. But I did play like a little bit of it, and I thought it was pretty cool. And then I watched some videos on it to kind of like, because when I first played it, I was like, I didn't know what this is. I knew it was a remake. I knew that. And the reason I was interested is, I've already said this before, I'm a huge BioShock fan. I'm a big Ken Levine. He's my favorite. So anything Ken touches, I want to play. And he said that BioShock was made from System Shock. Like a lot of his
spiritual successor. Yeah.
Exactly. He took a lot from it. So I was already like, well, I've got to play System Shock. But when I got into the game, I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like, I don't even know what this game is. So I did watch. So I watched like I don't know if it was a review or something, but anyways, the guy was kind of explaining like your whole goal. Like you're a hacker on this. I believe it's a ship. Is it a ship?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, you're on a ship, and apparently the villain, which I haven't met yet, is the greatest villain in all of gaming. So I'm very excited to meet. It's an AI, so I'm excited to meet. I think it's a her. So I'm excited to meet her. I have not met her yet, but again, it's only because I played a little bit. But your goal is to maneuver around this ship and kind of like destroy this villain. I'm interested in it. A lot of the systems seem pretty cool. Again, didn't get very far, but it's a good-looking game. It still has it's a mix of the old school with a little bit of a new school paint to it, but it's more old school.
I was gonna say, is it still pretty directionalist, like where it's just like you need to just figure it out, buddy? Like,
yeah. There's a ton of doors, and you're like, oh, I can't go there yet. Oh, I can't go there yet. Oh,
and they don't tell you like, oh, go this way.
Yeah, I feel like that's what a lot of people wanted when they're, you know what I mean? Like, I think you're gonna.
They want the System Shock experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think that's what it should be. So I'm not going to complain about that. I just don't think that's for me right now when you're considering my time that I can play video games now is limited, and then you have Street Fighter 6, Diablo 4. I haven't beat Zelda. I took a break from it, but I don't want to not beat it, so I'm going to eventually play that. So there's just a lot, so I don't know how much time System Shock would get.
And then we're only a few weeks away from Final Fantasy too, so we all have to like
So
consider
I'm
that
actually going to
in our
just
economy.
Reminding me,
I'm
Jeff.
just gonna
Reminding me,
delete
Jeff.
System
Dan
Shock.
and I are squirming hard over here, man.
I actually really can't wait for Final Fantasy 16,
too.
but we'll talk about it later. So anybody talk about it on the show about their impressions from the demo?
The demo, I remember. I mean, it hooked me enough to buy the game, and the game's not that expensive. It was like $25. It wasn't that much. I got it for a little bit cheaper on CD keys. I think
It's a $40 game. I got it for
CD
30. Keys for $30.
So I got it because the demo did leave such an impression on me because I'd never played the original. Because I love the blend of like, hey, this kind of looks like the old System Shock in terms of like some of the backgrounds and some of the enemy designs.
Yeah.
But like you as a person, whenever you would like type on a keyboard or pull out your gun, it like looks really fresh and new. Like it's interesting how they blended those graphics. It looks really smooth on PC. Is it only on PC? I can't remember.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So never mind. It's only on PC.
I'm sure it will come to consoles eventually, but it's definitely
I'm sure.
I think I recall that being a TBA thing for sure. It's intriguing as well. It's got that Metroid type thing where you're like, I can't go there yet. I don't have a password for that area. I don't have the hacking device to go to that area yet. Whatever. Or they have multiple doors and multiple hallways to go through. So you're kind of like, where do I go here? And you don't have the weaponry yet to fight certain enemies. So you kind of have to backtrack and just know when to walk away. So there's no hand holding in the game. So that's kind of like you, Derek. That's not the gaming experience I want right now, but I'll definitely circle back to it. I mean, at some point and play little bits of it every now and then. But Dan, what was your impression of the demo? I can't remember.
Yeah, I was actually just checking to see because I remember I had posted a few like Let's Plays of random games a while back. And I remember I think I was gonna do one of it, but to be honest, like how I think Derek, you were just saying a second ago, like there's definitely like an air of like confusion with navigating the game, like, and that's kind of built into what the DNA of that series is, right? So I definitely remember being like, all right, I'm not totally getting what I'm supposed to be doing here. Like, I know I need to get somewhere, but I just couldn't quite figure out where I needed to go. But like, I really love like just the vibe and the aesthetic of the game. Like, the game is really cool looking. They've done a few of those lately where it's like pixelated, but it's like it feels modern. What was the Doom game? It was like more like Doom. There was a game recently that was more like Doom, but it had that pixelated-y type of look to it.
Talking about Bolt Gun? Warhammer?
Well, there's Bolt Gun, I think, has that.
And then Proteus or whatever?
Yeah, Proteus. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. So it's kind of doing that thing where it's like everything
Bolt Gun's definitely more crude. I haven't seen a lot of Proteus. I haven't seen can't even remember seeing Proteus gameplay or seeing what it looks like. But Bolt Gun, I know for a fact, is like really, really old school graphics, like really old school.
But it's doing that thing where it feels modern-esque, but like has the pixelated, but like everything animates in like a really nice way. So yeah, I remember from what I remember, I enjoyed the way it looked. I didn't get super far into the demo because I just couldn't quite figure out where to go. But yeah, it's just I guess if you were into System Shock, it's cool that they were actually able to revisit this and really, because I think there was some development hell going on with this, if I'm not mistaken. I remember this being
delayed
quite a while ago.
Yeah, it was delayed out of March or something, and then before that, it was like, it was going to come out last year, Q2 or something like that. I remember it being an earlier.
Yeah, I think it's been
for sure.
Because I wouldn't say over like 5 years. It's like it's been in development. Like System Shock announced.
Yeah, I know they shifted the release date several times, for sure. But yeah, we'll circle back on that one for sure. And
that's a circle back. I'm sure I will play it. I'll keep it installed, but it's not a priority. You won't probably hear me talk about it next week.
So although I do like that out in like May, June, July, like is bold right now. So
crazy.
So this remake started development in 2015. So yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a road. Yeah,
almost 10 years.
That's when they first started talking about it and writing it down on a napkin.
I might be wrong, and it might not even be worth saying, but I think I remember it being pretty hard, like to get the ownership of like the license too.
Yeah, I think there was
like a lot of. I think no one knew who owned it or something. One of those kind of stories, you know.
Yep.
All right, so let's move on from System Shock. Did anybody play Killer Frequency?
Yeah, I played 15 minutes of it. It's a first-person adventure type of narrative game-ish. It's more of like you're a radio DJ and you kind of have to simulate a lot of stuff. But what's happening is there's a killer on the loose in your town, in a very small town, and it's supposed to be like kind of tongue-in-cheek and comedy, but it's not fully going for the joke, so you're kind of not going to be sure whether to laugh or not. But there's a part where the 911 operator calls you and says, "Hey, look, this is a small town. Sheriff's dead. Deputy's knocked out. I got to go get some help in another town. I've forwarded all of our calls to your radio station."
Sure.
So you have to like figure out how to work your little like setup and like answer calls. It's very similar in that regard to that one game that Tim and I were talking about, where you have to like edit a newscast live, not for podcast. Yeah, it's kind of similar in that regard, where you have to play a song and then fade out the song, turn off the record player, then answer the call, and then turn on the volume on the call, and then
sounds like a hard no for me.
Yeah, exactly. There's no and I skimmed through, I just literally moved the slider on YouTube to see somebody's walkthrough, and you spend most of the time in the radio booth, so there's not even oh, what a really tense moment with a killer. There's nothing like that.
If you find out that the killer's name is Video and it's a whole Video killed the radio star joke, I'll be pretty happy with that. Actually, I think that'd be pretty cool.
Apparently, it's like a 4.5 hour experience, so it shouldn't. I could, if I wanted to, beat it, but I mean, obviously, it's not a priority on any level right now.
Sure.
And then I could speak to it and be like, dude, no, guys, if you saw it through the story.
Sorry.
Well, what was that? What was that anthropomorphic game from last year with all the book that you flipped through? Jeff and I played it. I can't remember what it's called now, but
Wayward Pines.
Yeah. It could be that.
Is that right? No, Beacon Pines.
Beacon Pines.
Wayward Pines was
an hour of that
show that was canceled, but
this could be this year's Beacon Pines.
Beacon Pines, yeah. It could be, because Beacon Pines, I talked myself out of it after 45 minutes. I was like, not my style of story. And then the further you progress, you're like, oh, okay, it's dark.
Yes.
Okay. Huh. Yes. All right. There's a lot of people dying, even though they're cute animals. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting story.
Yeah.
All right, so we don't need to talk about that game anymore. Sounds like a
trash.
All right, so let's move on to the last item of
Infinity
new stuff, and that is we had a big release in the theater, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
He's literally wearing a multiple Spider-Man shirt.
Like this nice button-up Spider-Man shirt.
I didn't notice that. No, I love it.
I just got it a couple days ago. It's actually
awesome.
A nice button-up
shirt. I just got this.
I absolutely love it.
Go.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
I like that too.
Very nice.
It's a white shirt.
Cowboy Bebop. That new anime Cowboy Bebop guys?
Yeah, that's great. I like that. They made a live
very, very racist shirt. If you ain't white, you ain't right.
Stick to your culture, okay? So I think I might be the only one that has seen it, and you guys are going to see it tomorrow. You did see it
today.
Oh, you saw it today. That's right. I thought you were going to see it tomorrow, but Kyle's seeing it tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm incredibly torn because you guys know how I feel about movie theaters, but it's also Spider-Man, so I'm like, I don't know.
It's not only if I can push you to the edge a little bit. It's not only Spider-Man. It's one of the best Spider-Man.
No, of course.
You're gonna want.
You gotta go
for you specifically.
Did you really like the first one?
Oh yeah, no, I love.
Didn't you do a matinee and skip the crowd or something?
Oh yeah, do a matinee.
I mean, the thing is, the closest decent movie theater to me is 50 minutes away, so it's I have to drive.
I'm kind of in a similar situation.
Yeah,
where it's a bigger drive than I ever have wanted it to be.
And it's a pretty busy theater because it's not huge and it's near the only good mall that people still go to nowadays. So, yeah. But
yeah. You sold me on trying to not sell you on it. So.
Because even as you explained your scenario, and Kyle, you too, I was like, oh, okay, I would stay home too, actually.
Yeah,
it's hard, dude. I go see every movie on Thursday, so for me to not go see this movie, first off, Diablo was on the mind, but I was like, well, I'm not driving at traffic time, across town, which would take me about an hour, Dan, to kind of match your. I'm not doing that. It's it's a weeknight, I got school in the morning, I don't want to.
That's what it feels like.
I want to do that.
But I mean, I guess I already gave my thoughts. I felt it was one of the best Spider-Man movies I've ever seen. It's incredibly difficult to discuss without spoilers especially because the trailers did not really reveal anything. Like the trailers really didn't tell you what the story was at all, other than, oh, he's kind of at odds with Miguel O'Hara, the Spider-Man 2099. Oh, they're kind of like at odds with each other over something, but we don't know what. We have no idea, and we know that there's a scene eventually where he meets hundreds of Spider-Man people, whatever.
Not enough.
And you're like, okay, why is that? The trailers don't tell you why it's happening, when it happens.
So they did the trailers right.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm really sick and tired of like. So I went and saw it today, and they showed me. I haven't watched the Gran Turismo trailer until today.
Oh,
and I'm
boy.
like,
So you saw the movie then.
I just watched the entire fucking movie.
First act, second act, third act are all in that trailer. Like, it's crazy. That
you
trailer's
spoiled everything.
Yeah, everything. Yeah.
The feel-good story where it literally tells the whole. It's crazy. Yeah.
And I'm not saying there's a lot of cards to hold to the chest when it comes to Gran Turismo. Nobody's like, I wonder if there's gonna be a cameo from a Mustang. Nobody gives a shit. Like, I mean,
there's some stuff you could have still.
Yeah, but exactly. They're supposed to leave us wanting, and that.
I really feel like they're like, nobody's gonna want to see this movie, so we got to make them like feel like they want to see it by showing them.
I want to see the car part. I want to see the car part so bad, and they won't focus on that at all. They're like, this heartwarming story. I'm like, I don't give a shit about this.
You know what's interesting?
I want to see cool cars.
Compare that trailer to how Extraction 2 has been trailering, and they are leaning into how it's an even bigger spectacle of an action movie compared to the first movie. They're showing you the key pieces of the movie that are going to blow us away.
Extraction 2 shows Thor being on fire, and they're like, that's a 14-minute oneer, by the way. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm in. I'm all in on that movie.
Whereas Gran Turismo is like, how about the whole movie? Like,
Kyle, it's kind of like with it's kind of like with the Transformers movies, right? It's like no one cares about Shia LaBeouf here. Just give me goddamn Autobots versus.
It's like, but look, Fergie's husband's back. I'm like, I don't care about that guy. Like, where is Bumblebee?
Seriously.
I love this movie, and I think it was really, really smart for them to do what I call the Infinity War strategy of giving a certain character a beginning, middle, and end. That way, it is a cliffhanger, but it doesn't feel like one because some character was able to address whatever issues they had.
I forgot this is a two-parter.
Yes. Yeah. They announced both sequels at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's good to know that it's a two-parter because the way it ends. Now, I knew it was going to end just because I had checked my watch and I'm like, I know how long this movie is, and this is gotta end. And we are not at a ending point. So the way it ended, like a lot of people in my theater, I could tell by their reaction, they were like,
dude,
what?
There were people going, "Oh!" in my theater. They couldn't believe 2 hours passed.
That's pretty cool.
But here's my thoughts. I really like the first one. I would not put this up there with the first one for me personally. I still liked it. I think it's still really good, and I can't wait to see. I don't know if it's going to take them another 5 years to put out the second act.
Next year. They were working on it together. Yeah.
I was hoping that's what they were doing. When I left, I was like, because I didn't do any research, I was like, I really hope this is like a Matrix thing where they're going to release the second part in 6 months. I remember
that. That was amazing.
Close.
But I can wait a year.
Months,
So they've said that, confirmed it.
Yeah, it's like 9 or 10 months.
Yeah. I think it's March or May.
Yes.
Yes,
that's so good.
Okay.
That's so good.
So I think it's really good. The action's good. The characters are obviously great. There's a lot of good one-liners and humor. A lot of good ones. And again, I'll stay away from all spoilers. There's some great characters in there that you haven't seen before.
The villain, especially. In none of the marketing.
It's some good Easter eggs. Yeah, and the villain, he's funny. So you just enjoy him. Yeah.
And his action sequences are like next level creative. They're so good. Yeah.
So it's definitely worth seeing in the theater. Again, if you got to drive an hour and you don't like the theater, sure, don't go see it. But if you have like a reasonable theater around, it's definitely, even if you don't like, and I don't, I personally, I try to, like I was going to go Thursday night. I don't think the theater was that filled up at that point when I had bought it. And then I rescheduled for Saturday. It was pretty filled up, but that's because I went Dolby. If I would have done digital, it actually wasn't that bad. But I did Saturday morning. I enjoyed it. My daughter, who doesn't really go to movies, although this is her second movie this year, went and saw it Friday night, and she didn't spoil it for me, but she was like, it was really good, but I hated the way it ended. But she didn't probably know that it's coming out in like
Sure.
9 or 10 months.
We all need satisfaction these days.
Oh, of course.
That's a
They really did
issue.
try, though. They really did try to end it on a period and not a question mark for some characters. But yeah, there's definitely a very obvious cliffhanger.
Yeah,
Also,
there's
people are gonna be more
a
concerned
second part of this story coming out at some point.
Also,
so, yeah.
somehow this movie looks even like visually even more more amazing than the first one. And the first one was already basically 10 out of 10 like visuals. Like
yeah, exactly. Here's the thing with the first one. I don't think this is saying too much. The first one stayed in one universe.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it makes sense that.
So this one goes into the multiverse basically, and you see totally different animation styles, and it's amazing how they blended it together. It's I really can't even wrap my head around.
I also really
actual
love
animators doing this, like
like everyone is sick of MCU's multiverse, and like here these guys, it sounds like they're killing it, you know?
Yeah.
Like for a second time.
Too.
We're doing
They
another
explain it
multiverse
so
story.
simply.
We don't care that you're tired of that story.
Yeah.
I think
like,
theirs is I'm gonna be honest, I feel like it's a lot more simpler to understand.
Very much
Granted,
so.
it's just Spider-Man.
It seems simpler but grander though, you know, because they actually go for it. Whereas like the multiverse that we've seen so far, not a lot of going for it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sure.
I thought it was pretty cool, and I'm not gonna spoil it, but they explain to you what each universe should look like. And that some of the things that happen in these movies screwed up certain universes, but it all makes sense. It's not confusing. Like, well, what happens to this character? Well, it all makes sense. Yeah. And even one of the main characters explains why they know what they know and what they do and why they're mad at you. So I thought it was handled actually really, really well. It was not very confusing.
And it was so smart. The way that they explained the stake, when they got to the part explaining the stakes of everything, because it actually takes like an hour and a half before you realize what is actually happening to our main characters. Like, what's the turmoil? They're hinting at it the whole movie. Why is there so much tension? And then when they finally reveal it, you're like, oh no. But anyway, the way that they explain it is so cut and dry that I'm like, even the MCU can't even do this. Like, I mean, it's just the way that they explain it and how it conceptually ties to the multiverse. It's not so jargony and
this
confusing.
Movie makes no sense because Sony's the bad one.
Yeah,
you know, like Sony doesn't know how to make good movies. Like, but somehow these are so. And I agree. I think the first movie is like maybe my favorite like superhero movie ever. Like, I think it's like out of this world. Yeah. So it's like this little pocket is doing so well. Of telling these types of stories.
I think it's nice that I think maybe for them they really sat down and were like, all right, like we need to nail this because we're doing this, and this is a two-parter, right? But like still, it's two movies, right? They were like, we need to figure out a simple but fun and like meaty way of doing this multiverse thing within this two-parter. Whereas like in the MCU, they're doing multiple movies. That's
what I'm saying, multiple characters.
So they're trying to stretch it out so much.
They somehow figured out this simpler but grander.
And then they wait
grander like visuals, but simpler. And
MCU does that thing where they wait until the post credits to tie it into the thing before it or after it, and you're like. Just put it in the story if you're gonna do that. I mean, Jesus. There was actually cameos in this movie that happened that made me go, "What allowed?" And I went by myself, by the way, and I was sitting next to strangers. So I'm in the theater. There's a cameo. There's actually a few cameos that happened, and I went, "What?" So I mean, you got that going for it too.
Channing Tatum.
There's some really big moments.
Channing's definitely in it.
Damn it.
Channing he's booty dancing in the background of one of the scenes. You just got to look.
Spider Tatum.
All right. So that wraps up like all the new stuff that came out this week.
Oh, I forgot to say.
Yeah.
I want to do a spoiler cast on this movie because, like I said, very difficult to discuss without spoilers. And there's so many cameos and surprises and Easter eggs and stuff that I would like to do on Current Cinema if we could arrange that. I know Tim has seen it too, so.
Yep.
Damn it.
That'd be awesome.
I almost feel like I have to. Son of a B word.
That'd be awesome.
I think it would be fun if we got all 5 of us on there.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
All right. So let's do some predictions for the not E3 events coming up. So first and foremost, and I'm personally really, really excited for this, is Summer Game Fest. It's going live June 8th.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any like predictions of what they've seen? I know there's like stuff already out publicly.
Death Stranding 2 trailer for sure. Everybody was doing voiceover work. Everyone was doing mocap and stuff like that. They were talking about it all during May. We're getting the trailer for sure. 100%.
I mean, Kojima and Keighley are like this, so
yeah. Well, it's really easy. I'm guessing that water is wet right now. I think
it's very
real.
wet.
Well, I'm excited. I'm actually excited to hear that because I just beat Death Stranding not too long ago. I enjoyed it. Yes, there's some stuff where I'm like, please do things better in the second one. I don't know if he will. It's his game, but I still thought it was good. I think it's an interesting world, a very confusing world, but I would absolutely be excited to see that. Anybody else have some thoughts of what they're going to see or what they're excited about?
Well, they've so far said like, oh, we have maybe 3 to 4 big things. Mm-hmm. And I think Death Stranding 2 would be a logical one.
That would definitely be a one that's big.
But would they show any exclusives? Like, would they show anything from Sony or Xbox? I don't know.
It seems like the Last of Us game is getting bigger, and so they're pushing that back and back. That's just what the vibes I get from like reading stuff.
Right.
Like the idea keeps getting bigger, so it's like it's not just a multiplayer game anymore. Now there's single player elements, and I just feel like we're probably not going to see that.
Sure.
If I had to take
I don't think so either.
Especially since potentially the rumor is also saying that it might not even come out. It might have been canceled.
I
did hear about that. Yeah, or at least a version of it that we know it is canceled.
Yeah.
Like
Bungie came in and like did an audit, and they were like, "You guys are doing way too much." And
that stuff.
They told Sony you need to have them scale it back. That's the report from
Right.
But
I think it'll still come out. I just think it will come out way later than they planned.
Yeah.
Would they show? I bring up exclusives, especially because Square has been awfully chatty every single day so far about Final Fantasy VII. Is it Rebirth? Is the next one? Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, they're doing like some kind of Q&A every day.
Yeah, they're doing like one question and answer
little
a day.
Snippet things.
Yeah, so I'm like, would they show something at Summer Game Fest?
Everyone,
not the Sony showcase, like
people on Twitter, because people on social media are dummies sometimes. Everyone was like, "Oh, so State of Play, they're gonna show Rebirth, obviously, right?" And I keep thinking to myself, like, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever from a marketing standpoint to show anything Rebirth related until after 16.
I 1,000% agree with that.
Why would you cannibalize?
So I don't think you're gonna see Rebirth. I'm not saying it won't, but I don't think you're gonna see Rebirth.
I just don't know why people don't.
It's tough to predict. Then I don't know what we're gonna see. It's I can only think of exclusives for some reason, but I don't think
what
that
from Sony would be the most. What do we think from Sony? Might possibly be.
I mean, I would be surprised if Sony would do anything because, like, why would you? I'm not saying they won't. I'm just saying, why would you wait?
I mean, Death Stranding is a Sony exclusive, console exclusive at least.
Okay, so then there's
but they know about Kojima and Keighley.
Yeah, but Kojima is like like if he wants to do his boy a favor, like Sony has no like control over that. So
I just don't think you're gonna get anything else from Sony. I'd be shocked if there was anything major from Nintendo. Especially since we just got a Zelda game.
It's third party. With these 4 games I'm thinking of immediately that came to my mind were big third party games. Elden Ring.
For some reason, I'm blanking on what those.
Me too.
I think we'll get more information on Elden Ring's DLC or expansion, what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
I'm personally, I've said this before, super excited for Mortal Kombat news. I want all of it.
Sure. I think we're 1,000%
all the time. So I know we're getting it there. So I
know we're
can't
getting
wait.
Payday 3 information. Payday 3 is going to be here. That's been confirmed.
So I'm excited for it. I think it will be a great show. I'm not gonna like overhype it, but I know I'll be at least personally satisfied just because of the Mortal Kombat stuff.
Well, you can see. Maybe we'll get more Dragon's Dogma too, actually, because Capcom's supposed to be there.
I would.
We saw a lot in that sizzle reel. Like that was a lot of gameplay.
I feel like that was a lot of game.
There was a build of that game that probably looks pretty good.
We haven't seen in a while is Amy Hennig's new Captain America Black Panther game.
That
could be one.
Sure.
I would love to see that. Would be huge. I would call that one of the.
I would consider that definitely one of the three or four big ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
there's some potential there for sure.
We have also on June 8th, Devolver Showcase, the return of Volvi.
Yep.
Did he ever exist before he?
No, I don't think so.
He did not.
No.
What's happening right now is the joke. You're participating in the joke
What
right
is that, like a Mandela?
You're in one.
Mandela
yeah,
effect,
you're suddenly feeling nostalgic for something that doesn't exist. You know,
it's like a Sinbad movie. You're like, remember that? That was so great.
Did they do a Volvi and Devolver before? No, they didn't.
No, they didn't. That's the joke.
Yeah,
I'm expecting Plucky Squire. Plucky Squire for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be 3 really strong, cool-looking games and 30 minutes of chaos. Like that's what the Devolver Showcase is gonna be.
I would be shocked actually if Plucky Squire. I know they showed it at Sony's, but I would be shocked actually if they didn't have like a release window or date at Devolver, because it's Devolver. They're publishing it. I would be shocked if they didn't have like a date.
That's their
or
big
something.
baby right now for sure.
Yeah,
I think they showed off for sure.
I hope it's this
It'll
year.
probably be the first game they show. I mean, that's like their thing right now.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Okay.
That looks awesome.
Yeah.
All right, and then we got, and I'm pretty excited about this.
Me too.
Xbox
Sony kind of teed them up.
They know that they have to nail this.
Yeah.
So you know what? Like no one performs better than when they're back into a corner, and I believe it with all of my heart that this is going to be a fucking great show. Like
Me too. Even if it's
we know
like
we're
a
gonna
lot of
get
false promises and shit.
We're gonna get so much steam blown up our butts, but like it is gonna be awesome.
Outer Worlds
steam,
2 and 3 coming out same year. Okay.
So I definitely think we're gonna get Forza Motorsport release date. I think it's gonna be sooner than people realize. September, maybe early October.
Or September. Yeah.
I also think we're gonna get some, and I'm hoping this is more hoping, but I do believe.
Say it.
Fable 4.
That's
we're
right.
Gonna get more information on it.
That's for that fairy dust.
We're gonna get a
that fairy dust thing
window.
that meant something, man. Come on, it's there.
So I think we're gonna get at least a release window. If it's not, I don't know if it'll be 2023.
I don't think we could.
But
I don't know if we get
if they can at least say, first quarter of 2024.
If it's another CG trailer though, I might lose it.
Dude, I will.
And I'm like, I like CG trailers, but I just can't take another one for this game. Like,
I would like to see some gameplay.
Yeah, I want to see.
They should show it. Plus, there's a lot of excitement for Fable, not only because I love the franchise, but this is being done by Playground Games, which there's two things here. One, they're an amazing developer. They're absolutely amazing. Yeah. But two, we don't know if they're really amazing at making this type of game.
Right.
So there's a lot of intrigue.
I think it translates. I gotta be honest.
Yeah.
But,
can they do this like what's her face did it with Horizon, going from shooters, first person shooters to this open world. Yeah, Guerrilla. This open world, third person action game, which they absolutely nailed 2 versions of that. So do I have faith Playground can do it? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I'm very curious to see.
I'm more curious about, is Microsoft actually setting all of these these developers up for success? Kind of like with Redfall, which we'll get to in the news.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of people anonymously reporting from the developer side that like Microsoft just totally bailed on them.
And I also want to say,
and I hope that's not the case with their bigger entries that they've been advertising.
You cannot mishandle Fable, man. Like, you can't. But they're in a space right now where it's rightful to be. There's some doubt there, because they haven't been.
I think that also after the showcase where they're gonna go into a Starfield, basically direct. I think that will be very interesting. As somebody who's been excited, but I know my excitement is going to build as we get closer. I wasn't one of those fanboys that was like, Starfield, I love everything about them. No, I'm excited because I love Fallout games.
Bethesda.
I absolutely love Fallout games, but I've never been a, Bethesda fanboy. So I'm excited to actually watch Starfield and we're going to talk about it later, with all the drama with Redfall and even more information coming out about Redfall. That puts a lot of pressure on, okay, do we trust not only Xbox, because we already had doubts about Xbox, but do we trust Bethesda? And
specifically, not Ron Howard. What's his face?
Todd Howard.
Todd Howard. Yeah, I'm like, Ron Howard. No, he's another guy.
It did not come out smoothly.
Yeah, I mean, but like these are guys who have pitched stories before, you know what I mean? Fallout 76 and yada yada, So it's hard to just be like, I feel so confident about this because even just a few episodes ago, I was like, yeah, my confidence is kind of shaken about Starfield a little bit with
but I
just
think
Microsoft mismanaging budgets and everything like that. So like it's complicated.
But I think this direct could bring clarity. So it could either point you in the direction of like, you know what? Screw it. I'm not even going to get hyped for this game at all. This looks like a train wreck. Or it could absolutely take you to the place where they're delivering information you want to hear, which I would imagine information most of us would want to hear is that how big this game is, how it runs, especially with everything that happened with Redfall. What's it truly going to look like? Don't show me a PC version. Of course, I play on PC, but most of your fan base is going to be playing this on the Xbox. Show us what it looks like on the Xbox
showcase.
Yeah. I have a Series S, so I need to see how bad it's going to look on that stupid thing. So
how it's going to run.
I really do need to know.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, how it's going to run on the Series X and Series S and stuff like that. I think they should deliver that information. So I am actually really excited for that.
I actually have a couple things I want from this showcase. Obsidian, I'll take either Avowed or Outer Worlds 2. I expect more Avowed because that was announced first. And I expect Machine Games to show up, maybe even twice. I expect to see the Indiana Jones game, maybe cinematic. And Wolfenstein 3 would not surprise me at all.
They just leaked that
they should just cancel Indiana Jones after this new movie bombed so bad. They released reviews like 4 months early, and everybody's like, "Don't even release this."
How are critics? How is the critics? I know Rotten Tomatoes score is like kind of nebulous, whatever, and everybody's got their own takes on it. But how is that score lower than Kingdom of the Critics? Do they not remember Christopher Skull at all? Like,
oh my God, is it really? Is it
positively with critics? Like,
they
can't take
a lot
it back
of people
now.
lit this.
They can't take it back.
I'm scared
that's
about
really
that movie.
that's really sad.
I'm super scared about that movie in a real big way.
It actually went from I'm excited to see it day one to even if I have my monthly pass, which I now can decide whether I want to cancel it or not because I made my last payment on it. Do I even want to see this movie in general? Because I would have to drive 30 minutes out there. Like, if it's really that bad, I don't want to waste my time.
You know I'll be there. I mean, it's a summer blockbuster. I'm gonna be there.
I'll probably go.
Hell, I'm seeing the Transformers movie, and my confidence is like 50%. Maybe that'll.
I'm either going to see it Wednesday or I'm canceling with everything going on. But I had planned. I bought my ticket for Wednesday for trip.
It's actually sad. I read something where like they did the early showing of it or whatever, and like Ford was there.
Yeah,
and
they did it at freaking Con or a festival that you're like, why are you showing it to French people? They don't give a shit. Like, what are you doing? This is an American franchise.
There was like mild applause.
Yeah.
It's all emotional, and it's like, oh my God, this is so sad. Like, dude, like Harrison Ford is Harrison Ford. Like
in the Indiana Jones movie that's getting bombed right now, got a 20-minute standing ovation just to give. So it's just like it's usually just like etiquette to like stand and applaud at the end of the movie. Right. Yeah, so like they didn't even do that for the Transformer movies. Yikes.
All right, so I do want to say this. I would love, if it's possible, because the Xbox showcase is on a Sunday. If anybody wants to do like live reacts or whatever, I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
And then Monday,
like noon or 1 for a lot of us.
Yeah, it's.
Hold on, I want to throw out
10 a.m. Pacific time, so 1 p.m. my time.
Yeah,
I want to throw out a bet for the Bethesda portion of the show.
Okay.
What are the odds on Todd Howard coming out with a leather jacket?
Leather jacket? It's 10 out of 10.
Dude, it's absolutely happening. Yeah.
All right, so
I think he's going to swap it out for cardigan to be more apologetic about Redfall.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, he comes out like a professor and is like, "Let me tell you about Starfield."
With like glasses
guys,
on.
let me tell you that it's just gonna work.
I'm not going to tell you it's just going to work, guys, but guess what? It's going to operate smoothly.
Operationally. So last main show is the next day, Monday, Ubisoft Forward. So that's June 12th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Any excitement for Ubisoft? Anything you think they'll bring?
They've been literally just going to be Assassin's Creed. That's my guess.
It's going to be, well, they're going to show Mirage.
Assassin's Creed
Forward. They're going to do a deep dive on Mirage for sure. They already said they're going to show Avatar. So I'm curious what that game's going to look like.
I do want to see what Avatar is because I really like the last.
They will highlight the next Crew game, but I couldn't care less about that franchise personally. So
what's the odds of like Splinter Cell happening? Because we know that's cooking, but like, do we see that here?
Well, they said there's a 4th game that they're going to show, but it's like a mystery game. We don't know.
Gotta be Splinter Cell, man. It's got to be.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean they said
either that or they finally bring back what's that game that they announced?
Beyond Good and Evil.
Never
That's
happening.
never coming out.
Never happening.
Hey, everybody who's
Like,
listening
guys,
out
you
there,
remember
you're
when we made
never
that
gonna
announcement
play that
like
game.
7 years ago? Like,
Yeah.
here it
You're
is.
just never
That's
gonna
so
And it was like a
sad.
full alpha build, and it looked amazing. And then they were like, "Yeah, everybody died. That's making
Here,
that game."
we
Yeah.
actually
Seriously died.
downsized it. It's now an 8-bit, like,
Listen,
entertaining game. Indie
it's-
game.
never coming out, guys.
It's No Man's Sky, but like you get to actually do some cool shit, guys. It's taken a long time. All right, just give them.
No, Stan, this is a
not
weird
coming
thing
out.
to die on the hill on for
Listen,
positivity.
it's
Oh,
just-
there's actually a
just-
showcase. This is
It just
actually in next week, but it ties into this what we're talking about. RGG, the studio behind Like a Dragon, is having a showcase as well.
Very
and
important. Thank you
No,
for saying
so
that.
far is we already know that they have 2 lined up. Like they have a Like a Dragon Gaiden, right? That's coming out this
the
year.
bridge game between the 2 games. Yeah.
Right, and then Like a Dragon 8's coming out next year, but maybe they announce more. Who knows?
Wait, bridge
knows?
game between which 2 games? Are we talking about Ishin, or
Why?
are we talking
So the big thing is like, why is Kiru here? Like, you know what I mean? Like his story ended with 6.
Right.
So
Okay,
he kind of
gotcha.
shows up a little bit in 7, but like you don't really understand like why he's still in the game or whatever. This game is gonna like go over why he's
So none of them
What was he
are
doing?
his journey from
Ishin-
6 to 8. Like what happened? You know.
Gotcha. So none of them are sequels to Ishin. So it's Like a Dragon.
No.
the
No,
RPG.
8 is a sequel.
Yeah.
It's 8's both of them, I think. Right?
What's that?
I thought 8, Like a Dragon 8 is going to have the main character from like Ishin. Or not Ishin, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Yakuza. It's gonna have the it's split.
I'm thinking
It's
of,
dual protagonists.
Yakuza
It's
Like a Dragon. I'm
Kiru
thinking
and
7.
well, I'm forgetting the guy from 7, but yeah,
Yeah,
like he's
yeah.
it's
You know what
gonna
I'm
have
trying to
both.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Ishin
I've
is,
actually
it's totally separate.
secretly been playing Ishin more. I don't know if I'll continue, but I have been secretly. I haven't been talking about it on the podcast.
Surprise
But
number
every
1
once
from
in a
there.
while, I just log in and I just keep playing it.
It's
'cause-
fun. It's a good game.
Yeah. All right, so I don't know how much of these headlines we're willing to cover because I want to get through a lot of this stuff quickly. But anything you guys want to add on, you can. But one of the headlines for Xbox, we'll hit on Xbox first, is there's been more Game Pass games announced. I think the big ones that I saw on a list was I saw in July we have Sword and Fairy 7 coming. These are coming to Xbox Game Pass. We got Exo Primal coming out July 14th. That's a day 1 release.
Mhm.
One I'm actually personally
I'll
excited
play it
for.
if it's on Game Pass. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
absolutely,
definitely
yeah.
going to play it.
Yeah.
I'm interested in it. I don't know if I'll like it, but I'm interested in it.
I hear it's EDF with dinosaurs, and I'm like, that's
That's
my
what I heard.
game.
Well, that sounds fun then.
That's
Yeah,
my
like
game. My God, that's my
sounds fun to me.
genre is like dumb like co-op shooters. Yeah.
Sure.
So I'm on board for that. And then Lies of P is coming August 2023.
Okay.
I don't know what
my
this
God, I forgot about
Texas
that one.
Chainsaw
Yeah.
Massacre is.
Oh, I just
So
watched.
that's-
Oh, it's
I just watched
another
the-
Evil Dead type.
Yeah,
Okay,
I just
got
watched the beta for this.
game.
Yeah,
Those
it's a 3v4 survival Dead by Daylight type of
Yeah,
game.
Dead by
Okay.
Day. Yes, exactly.
So that's coming August 18th. So that's another day 1. Lies of P is sometime in August unless they
Well,
delay it.
We'll probably get a date for that during the Xbox.
Dude,
Starfield is
Lies of P.
September 6th. We're getting really close to Starfield. We're 3 months away from Starfield.
No, that's getting a new date for sure.
Oh wait,
It's
I thought it already got moved to November.
Oh, see, I was gonna guess it was going to November.
Yeah,
I think
I
you're
thought it
right.
already
I
got
think it
moved.
already got slipped. Yeah, I think that's
Okay.
Maybe I'm never mind. I'm thinking of something else.
Okay.
Honestly,
This-
as painful as it would be, that needs to be pushed back as much as it needs to be like smooth, like make it as smooth as possible because you
No,
Can
I-
somebody
I honestly
Google it?
think
I'm
it
actually
gets-
interested. I haven't seen anything.
No,
I
you're
heard
right.
it's
You're right.
September.
I was thinking of the
It's
day
September,
before, which
but
is
I
never
think
coming
it'll
out.
slip to November, and I don't think it'll slip again. I think it will come up this year, but like they got to put the
Okay.
polish on it, dude.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I wouldn't be
April.
surprised. That's terrible news to have, and it'll piss a lot of people off. But after everything with Redfall, I'm thinking this game's gonna be 30 frames per second. So
Yeah.
I don't know if they're gonna try to f
It's
around with things or what. I don't know.
1,000% going to be 30 frames per second. Just
Oh, yeah,
everybody.
Yeah.
Just so
Yeah.
everybody knows.
Yeah.
Another one, I don't know if I truly believe it's gonna come out in December of 2023, but that's Stalker 2. So those are some of the
yeah.
bigger
There's a lot of war
games.
stuff going on with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a complicated.
But that's some of the major releases for Xbox Game Pass.
They're huge games, man.
Yeah. So there.
Yeah,
it's-
the ones
it is-
that were mentioned in the press, it was all like indies, and none of them I would play personally. I mean, Chicory's coming out, or already is out on Game Pass now, and I hated that game even though critics loved it. But I mean, it's there for free if y'all want to hate play it, I guess.
No, thank you.
hate play. I love hate playing things.
All right, so South Korea is the latest country to approve Microsoft's Activision Blizzard acquisition.
Job,
Do
South
we,
Korea.
do we care? I don't care.
Yeah, we're all holding our breath for South Korea.
A win for South Korea. A win.
We also know that
they're like,
that
guys, don't ask. We don't care. Like, just sure, yeah. We don't care about what's going on with that.
they also are appealing the UK's decision on that deal, and they're obviously going to court in July. So that's still ongoing. I do think Microsoft's going to win. They're eventually going to do this. I just think our boy Jimmy is just playing the delay game. That's all it is.
I think there was a new report that came out yesterday or today that was like, well, Xbox could actually withdraw Activision from the deal for the UK regulator. But I'm like, yeah, is this the same report that said Xbox, the deal could get approved, and then the next day it was denied? So, I mean, I'm not really all for believing reports about any of this stuff anymore.
Sure.
Yeah.
They get clicks for everything they release that's a rumor or a report.
The court date being in July is official, though. That's not a report thing from like Bloomberg or whatever. So apparently the regulator is like not thrilled about July. They were like, well, we don't have enough time to put our counter case together. It's like, well, you denied them. Right. You should already have your facts together.
Like, why did you deny them? Like,
well, they denied them, and then I think Microsoft did come back with like adjustments. So maybe that's what they're talking about. But still, it's all nonsense.
Yeah.
All right. So the last one, and I think actually the one that's more intriguing and interesting of all the headlines for Xbox is Redfall's the devs reportedly told Microsoft. Reportedly, we're hoping Microsoft would cancel or reboot the game. I'm not buying the cancel part. That's kind of bullshit to me. The game was done. Why would you want to cancel it? Unless they had notified them like a year and a half, 2 years ago, but I'm not buying that. Would I think they would want to reboot it to a single-player game? Yeah. I could see them being like, can we just focus on not being online and co-op and
that's
maybe
what
just make
some of the developers, and apparently there were like over 20 people that either used to work at Arcane or still do, that were like, we just didn't know when we heard the pitch for it, whoever pitched it, we were like, why are we doing this? We've never done this type of game before. So like they were just unsure of if they could even do a multiplayer game like that. And also the pitch to them just didn't make sense. Like the whole vampire quasi open world thing, even though it is open world, like they couldn't wrap their head around it compared to something like Prey. And then by the time the game came out, like most people that worked on Prey are gone from Arcane. Like everybody just like was like, no, writing's on the wall. I'm out. I don't want to do this.
Which is smart. It's smart that they got out because unfortunately that game, and I played it and I've talked about it on the podcast before, and it's a running joke that I like it. I do like it, but I see it for what it is. It's not a very good game, and I don't expect people to make excuses for it like I did. But I did enjoy it, and it's one of those games where I'm like, if Microsoft did actually see something good in it and was willing to support it continuously, it actually could be a good game.
Oh yeah,
but it's obviously it looked like a project that wasn't supported or budgeted well. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
In hindsight, you know, like
exactly.
And
so
maybe
I
there
don't
was a
think
good idea there.
I don't think we're gonna get the extra financing to be like, yeah, let's make this good. I think they're just gonna be like, this is dead.
I think that they're gonna move on to make Deathloop 2 and everything. Everyone's gonna be happy. So.
And then the only major highlight for Nintendo is Nintendo explains its decision to block Dolphin's Steam release. Did anybody get any news on that? Like, do we know?
I don't even know what Dolphin is. Is it a game or something?
Emulator.
It's an emulation.
Oh, right? It's an emulator. Okay, this whole time I've been thinking it was a game that was on Nintendo Store.
Makes sense, and especially Nintendo does not f around with
emulation. This is like this is what Nintendo does. Like, yes, it makes absolute sense that they wouldn't want something that emulated their games perfectly, so easily downloadable on the Steam Deck. Yeah, like that or Steam in general for that matter. So yeah, I mean this is yeah.
I mean, I'm personally sad.
By the way, they have the right to, you know.
Yeah.
So you know, like.
Literally,
they're a
it's
little
their
more bully
games.
about it, you know, but like
although
they're completely within their rights. So
There was that one case recently. I forget what the person was emulating or something, but it isn't like he's basically now for the rest of his life like having money taken out of his paycheck because Nintendo won the case and he owes them millions of dollars now. Like,
don't agree with the way that they handled that. That's an overkill.
Yeah, very
You've ruined
much so.
some kid's life, for no reason, pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. So the guy who created the dolphin, you're saying?
Not dolphin. This was a different.
This was a different situation. Yeah, but still,
similar.
Probably even smaller stakes, but it like ruined some young guy's life. He has to pay like $5,000 a month or something like that. That just gets taken out of his paycheck automatically. Yeah, it's some court-ordered deal.
Yeah. Because Nintendo was the big bully. Although, he was obviously doing something he shouldn't have been, but...
Yeah, they're in their rights, but also, it comes off very Napster suing 9-year-olds,
yes,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I think they could have, you can always... I think it's good to punish, because people learn from punish. Plus, you set an example to anybody in the future going, I shouldn't do this.
Right. Sure.
But I also think, maybe it's something... And maybe they did do this. I doubt they did. Nintendo's pretty hardcore. But they could have been like, publicly, you're paying us because we want to send a message to everybody. But privately, you don't have to pay us.
Maybe.
Good.
I mean,
you only have to pay a little portion of it. But you are not. You have to sign an NDA saying you if asked, you do pay.
Mm-hmm. You're complying.
You never know. Yeah. But all right. So I would say more interesting news. Sony. This was exciting for me because I actually don't own this game and I would actually like to own it, so I will be buying it on PC. But Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is coming to PC. I did beat it on PS5, absolutely loved it, thought it was an amazing game, super fun game, and that's why I want to own it, because anything that I like to own. So I will definitely be buying this on Steam. I think it's going to look... It already looked amazing on PS5, but I think it's going to look gorgeous on PC. Hopefully it'll run good. It's been hit or miss. Some of Sony's ports have been absolutely amazing and some have just been god awful. The Last of Us. I didn't have as many issues as other people. The
Last of Us.
But there was definitely issues there. You can't deny it. And then I did have issues with Horizon when that launched. That was terrible. But there's been other Sony games that I've played that I've had. Oh, the other one that came out recently that had issues was what's the shooter that Sasan really likes? The Returnal. Space one. Returnal.
No, Returnal.
Returnal was all jacked up.
Wasn't it like melting like graphics cards or something?
For me, it was not allowing me to play it in 4K. It was like you would select 4K, but it would process it in 1080p, and it just looked really bad and real fuzzy, and it wasn't running good either. So it wouldn't even run. It would run it like it's running in 4K, so you wouldn't even get high frames per second. It would be like, oh, we're running at 4K, but the actual image would be 1080p. It was stupid. They did fix it though, at least. CD Projekt dismisses rumors that Sony may be acquiring it. I don't know why anybody thought that was real. Did anybody think that was real? I don't.
It's real to me, damn it.
Sony what stress bought them? Like they're like, well, Microsoft bought everybody else. We're just gonna stress buy CD Projekt Red. Like they're super proud to be an independent company. Like they're not interested.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I understand. I was gonna say, even with all the issues, I'm sure that weighed on them financially, but those guys are extremely successful and they do like their independence.
And unless they're going under,
I think unless they're going under, I don't think you would.
Yeah, they have no reason.
I think they long to be more independent after they were like, pressured to put Cyberpunk out so early, by by financiers and stuff like that. So it's like I think even more than ever they're like, no, we're fine, leave us alone,
Okay.
Also, for this one, for CD Projekt Red, and kind of as a guest for summer games, we're definitely seeing Cyberpunk DLC, and I think I think it'll be out within 30 days of the announcement too.
Ooh.
Wow!
So we'll see a trailer, and I think in 30 days we'll be playing that game.
I think it comes out in August. That's my guess.
Yeah, I'll take August. Yeah.
All right, and then Insomniac gives update on Peter and Miles gameplay in Spider-Man 2. Did anybody look into this?
Yes, absolutely. It was a tweet, or I got it from a tweet. I didn't read the article because I was like, oh, that's enough for me. But according to Insomniac, players will be able to freely switch between Peter and Miles when you're in the open world. And when you're not part of a story, basically.
Because we were talking about that, and I thought it would just be like more story mission.
Mm-hmm.
That it was going to be more of a Peter game, not a Miles game.
What they said is the most like corporate speak ever. They were like, we have content designed around Peter, we have content designed around Miles, and we have content where you can play either.
Oh, thank you.
I'm like, that's the most corporate way to say that. But yes, they did clarify, like, when you're in the open world, you can switch.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is.
I don't know if they're going to do the GTA thing where they're clearly like one of them's already in the middle of something, you know. And
I would love that. Like you pick up Miles and he's buying a hot dog and he's like, oh, and he has to put on his mask. And,
I mean, that gameplay they showed clearly both of them. I know it was a story mission, but both of them were doing something. And when you would switch, it was cool that you were in there they were doing. I like that. That's why I thought this is probably going to be more story based, but it could fit with the whole tone of the game, with the fact that Peter is not going to really be Peter the whole game, so it would make sense that you would play Miles more too.
Right.
And then last for Sony, and this is more for Dan, but we kind of talked about it before. Square Enix is working on nailing down a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth release date. I'm still going 2024.
Yeah,
sometime maybe.
I'm thinking
early
Q1, Q2.
But I wouldn't be surprised.
If Q1 game or something.
I was gonna say I wouldn't be surprised if we got another summer game, like it's just a June or July.
And I wouldn't be mad at that either, honestly. I'd be like, wow, 2 in a row, okay.
And I think I don't know if it was the last episode, but maybe the one before that, where they had at one point said, like, because the switching to Unreal 5, it's like been like really smooth, and like the work that they're doing on 5 has like actually been like no really hiccups or anything. Like
developers love 5. It's very developer friendly.
Yeah. So they said development has actually been going really smooth and actually like not quicker as if to say like, oh, we're just like flying through development, but like they were like, yeah, no, like everything's smooth and we're good and like it's going along, like we're good.
They said today too something about the open area or whatever, right? It was still a vague corporate speak answer, but they said something about it.
You'll be able to run into many storylines while you traverse, outside of
multifaceted something. Like it basically sounded like what they're doing.
High degree of freedom is what they said. Yeah,
it sounds like honestly, it's probably going to be like big open areas. Maybe interconnected, like I don't know.
That's what I feel. Yeah.
I still don't think it's going to be open world.
Do you think they'll be bigger like Well, you haven't played Jedi Survivor yet, but Jedi Survivor has these big open areas. But
I think it'll be like that. Yeah. I think it'll be like. Oh, I hate that I'm saying this, and it's not for a joke. It's going to be like Dragon Age Inquisition, I think. The way that, like, again, like they're like little hubs that you're like,
okay, I'm
here.
It's going to be like, I think. 16 is going to be Inquisition too. It's just going to be much bigger scale, like, because that obviously we're years ahead of.
I mean, that game keeps coming up because it really is the greatest of all time.
It really is, and also we might be getting that at Summer Game Fest. That might be one of the 4.
Dude, I will. Like, I'm already crazy about Mortal Kombat. Dragon Age, that's my other little fanboy. Yeah. I will.
Dragon Age, I might have a heart attack if Dragon Age gets shown. Like in like a huge blowout. Like here's like
not how they showed it before. It was like, let's just talk about it.
Yeah,
I would lose it. I would absolutely lose it.
But also at the same time, this working on nailing down. It's like this is a nothing comment. Like it's like, all right, we get it. Like you're gonna eventually think of a date. Like and I don't know if you Jeff. I think you reacted to it. Is it Jonathan in our group doing the typical cliche? Oh, so we'll see this in like 2025. It's like, listen, John, I love you, buddy. Jonathan. That it's played out. The joke is played out. All right.
I think it was funny when it was semi-real, but I really think Square Enix has gotten their crap together.
Oh, I think they turned a leaf a while ago, and I feel
that's what I was basically trying to say, and he was still kind of insisting like that's not the case, but it's like no,
that's kind of his personality.
Sure.
I think he follows games, but he doesn't follow as much, so he just goes with the cliche.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Which, when in doubt, go with the cliche,
It's kind of like people with their Blizzard hate towards like
sure.
Diablo, letting
they're going to have
Diablo
microtransactions. I'm like, your gut is telling you right for sure,
And for sure, Square definitely had some dark times there, absolutely. But they've definitely been
and not to
doing
erase
better.
history. It did happen once upon a time,
Yes,
for sure. Yeah, but
absolutely.
Like, I mean, they turned once you heard about like 7 remake coming around after a giant setback and everything like that, and it was still mostly on time. And 16 being just an epitome of being on time. Sure, there were a couple delays, but like everything about that game feels very scheduled and very clean. You know, it went gold like a month ago. You know, like it's
yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like we're over with that. So whenever
Yeah.
if they're saying, hey, like things are feeling good, to me that goes things are on track, and I can see it being a 2024 game for sure. Like, you know, I think
they're having the meetings. They're saying we're getting close to being able to nail a date. Like, it's happening. So
yeah.
All right, so that rounds up the Sony headlines. The only thing, and we'll try to go through these real quick, is some general headlines. Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 was announced. I bought the first one. I didn't love it. It's okay at best. So I don't really care about a second one. Did anybody else buy it?
This one's gonna have motorcycles and ATVs, and gonna have new dashing and jumping abilities.
Okay, maybe I'll be interested. Never mind. Shut up.
I'll keep an eye on it myself because I do like. Oh, there's some interesting ideas that they could have added, but they just didn't at all.
I think I'm just kind of over the Hot Wheel tracks. Like I played the first one for a little while, but I was like, okay, these were cool when I was a kid.
Right, there's a lot of cute car games going on.
But I'm like, I don't want to just drive on an orange track. I can do that in Forza. I can do it on all your other games. Like, make it your own. Like, that needs to be a part of it because that's your thing. But make it a little more unique. Maybe do open world. Do something. I don't know. But I don't know. I just didn't think it was that unique. It didn't feel that good. Cyberpunk director and other former CDPR devs form a new studio called Blank.
Yeah, this is dope. It's actually like literally the game director of Cyberpunk, Blank. And he was a code game director of Witcher 3 as well. So he's bringing a ton of other people over from CDPR.
We're leaving.
They're going to be in Poland as well. And 60.
Do they have a game that they're working on that we know about?
No, they're working on filling out their team. Actually, they're going to staff up to 60 people.
I bet you it's going to be a giant open world RPG. If I had to guess.
At their own pace, you know, not answering anybody. Yeah.
Cool. That I will look forward to. And then this is huge news. Konami confirms that Kojima isn't involved with Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake.
Oh my god. Do we even play it now? I mean,
wow. There is a lot. Hey, I'm in a lot of those Kojima fan pages. There's a lot of that. No Kojima, no me. I'm not there. I'm like, okay, guys, y'all.
All right,
he already made that
when it was announced. Come on. Like,
I guess since it's technically a remake, they could get up in arms about it, but still, it's
they already said that they're lifting the audio. Like nothing's gonna change.
Right.
Yeah, that was another note I
this
added
is
too,
literally
like,
going to be Metal Gear Solid.
They're not gonna add anything.
They're just gonna make the
anything.
gameplay better. That's it. They're gonna make it prettier and they're gonna make it more modern as far as gameplay.
I mean, this is
the
Konami.
Controls are gonna be different. You know, like it's gonna be new, but like. It's going to be the same story that, you know.
Konami's not going to pump any more money into this than they need to. They're going to pump in exactly as much money as they think they have to receive back more money. Yeah. You know. Yeah. So
I'm just happy it's not a pachinko machine.
Yes.
No kidding.
Do we even know if they're using the Fox engine to make this, or like I don't feel like we know anything about
out of spite, probably not. Out of spite, probably not.
Probably not, right? Yeah,
no, probably not. It's probably just gonna be Unreal, which I mean,
it's Unreal, for sure. Yeah.
All right, and then last announcement: MetaQuest 3 announced $500 coming out in the fall.
Yeah.
Anybody interested in this?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll totally buy one. Absolutely.
I mean, they are wireless.
But,
yeah.
But I love my 2. I use my 2 daily.
I didn't realize that's the one that you have. I thought you had, for some reason, I thought you had like an Oculus or something. I don't know why.
Quest is an Oculus. They're the same thing. When they
really?
When they went through the Facebook is now Meta, like they changed the branding of the Oculus.
Oh,
so
I see.
Now
they did what you shouldn't do. They did it.
Yeah, they just did things.
Like that.
Is
and
2
Oculus
wireless?
Is a way better name than MetaQuest.
Yeah, 2 is wireless. They're all wireless.
Yeah, they're all wireless. Since one has been wireless. Yeah.
Nice,
so the difference is they just up the like res. like I think the first one was basically 1440p. The second one's like 1800p, and then this one's gonna be real close to 4K.
Yeah,
or actually maybe it's higher than
probably
4K.
a bigger screen in there for better peripheral. You know,
and this one's
slimmer too.
Yeah, the third
battery,
one's
if it's lighter, the battery's gonna be bigger, or longer. It's gonna last longer.
I mean,
if they announce that you expect.
If they announce something super cool, they got me on the first two. I bought the first two. And the only reason why I bought the second one was for Resident Evil 4. So if they have something significant, then I'm like, yep, I gotta have that.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't know if I'm gonna upgrade immediately unless like there's a hot ticket item that they're like, this Half-Life Alyx, you can play it on the. Like, I'm in now. Like, dude, I'm all in all of a sudden. But I just doubt that that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I didn't realize
Bone Labs. Like I would love if you get a full version of Bone Labs, which is the other like greatest like simulator or physics simulator in VR. But that can't play on something that's not hooked up to a computer. At least at the time that it came out. Like, I would love for this thing to be that powerful, where you could play some of these more powerful VR games without needing anything to plug into. So
yeah,
the Quest 2 did drop in price as a result of this. Yeah, which is awesome. It's $300 now for the 128 gig and $350 for the 256.
It's worth picking up if anybody's like interested in VR. I think that
I never thought about it before. I've always looked at PSVR and been like, too much money, and assumed all of them were priced that way. So
I mean the Quest, and I know it's like, well, you have to hook up with your Facebook account, and like people are really against that for whatever reason. It is what it is. Like it's a piece of product that Facebook created. It's really streamlined. It's really slick. I really like the Quest. So yeah, I'm interested in like a
easy porn access, my friends.
Unfiltered.
Okay. The titties.
Well,
are
I'm
in
totally
your
getting
face.
one then, but not because you just said that. I just suddenly
it changes
changed my mind.
Literally everything
about something else.
About porn.
Hey, Tim, when you're editing this, can you just have the little jump point VR porn titties? Can you just put that in there?
I don't look at porn, guys. Come on.
I don't even know if it works on the Quest.
I don't even know. Are you saying corn? You're saying corn wrong, right?
Yeah, let's talk about
corn, the band.
Yeah. Freak on a leash, huh? Freak on a leash.
All right, we actually did pretty good, so I can get back to my Diablo gameplay. We're gonna just end the show with our quick hits. Dan, you got any quick hits for us for this past week? 5 words or less. That's one.
Eat a bag of dicks. There you go.
All right. All right.
Good. Yeah, that was actually really good.
No, but yeah, just more Zelda. I mean, just still Zelda, and then Diablo. So yeah, that's basically it.
Okay.
And Succession is great. I know you jumped in on that.
Where are you at with Succession?
I'm on either episode 6 or 7 of season 3.
Nice.
So
I passed you.
Oh, did
wow.
You? I'm in
I didn't expect that.
That jump from 2 to 3 was awesome, though. That cliffhanger was fantastic, and then just freaking 100 miles an hour into season 3. You're like, whoa!
Yeah. That's why I love that I came into the show when it literally ended, because this is one of those shows where I would have been mad if I had to wait.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
some of these clips,
I literally watched weekly, and I can attest to that. Yes, it was frustrating.
This is why I watch shows the way that I watch.
Yeah, so it took me. I'll go since it goes with what Dan just said. I'm at the end of episode 1 of season 4.
Okay.
So I should
that's the season that just aired. Yeah.
Yeah, so I should have that season wrapped up in the next couple of days.
Dude,
depends on if I get sucked in. I would have finished it probably today, but I went and saw Spider-Man, and then I was like, well, I really should play Diablo and Street Fighter before we do the show. So
hit up the chat when you finish episode 3, because that's the one that's like a landmark episode, and it's it's a lot. A lot happens in that episode, and they take you through the journey in a very interesting way. Like, it's just wow. It was very well done. It had me going, yeah, okay, fucking the optics,
yeah, the optics.
That's what I want to compliment about the show. I know we've been chatting about it a lot in the group, and then I even made a post which had a lot of people come out and say, "Yeah, dude, that show's awesome." It's got really, really good characters, really good characters, and even though most of them are related, there's obviously some similarities, but they're very, very different.
Very,
very different. You know?
They're all disgusting in different ways. Pretty much. That's what it is.
Except for, I would say Greg. I mean, he's not a
he's
sibling,
so innocent,
Greg,
but he's never said no to like that's too far. Like he's always just like, yeah, okay, sure. Like
dude, the Tom and Greg, I'm on the Tom and Greg train. Like holy shit, those
when I first started watching the show, I was like, this is too much beta. Like I cannot handle this. Is beta overload.
Oh my god!
Like all the stuttering, all
shocker.
Tom is a complete cuck. Like his wife literally does whatever she wants and then makes him feel bad for any of his feelings, or completely ignores his feelings, and he's like, "Oh, okay, we'll just do it your way." Like it's hard to watch.
Then that attitude trickles down to Greg. Like then he treats Greg the way Shiv treats him. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
That actress who plays Shiv is outstanding, by the way. She was in a movie called Predestination with Ethan Hawke, and like it's a really mind-bendy sci-fi movie. And she showed the F up in that role. Like I was like, wow, I gotta watch out for her. And now everybody knows who she is because of the show.
Yeah, she's really good. She's really good. They're all good.
Oh,
like
I sure. Went into natural.
It. Yeah. I went into it going, I'm not gonna like, it's not Macaulay Culkin, but
Kieran,
Kieran.
I'm like, I'm not gonna like him. He's annoying. I don't like his face. He's annoying, and he's actually one of my favorite characters. Like he's the one that makes me laugh.
Most ridiculous shit.
He makes the most incest jokes at all of them.
And I'm like,
so wrong.
That's stuff I would say. Like if I had the freedom, if I was a billionaire and I knew I wasn't gonna get fired, I would absolutely say half the stuff he says. I'd be like, yep.
I think you guys are well past the point too, where like it feels like he's hanging by a thread sometimes. So like that plays into season 4 big time as well. Like him starting to unravel more and more and stuff like that. Because you always sense that he's holding stuff back.
Oh yeah,
from, his dad or whatever.
Yeah, that's the thing I noticed with him is one of his character traits is that he doesn't actually tell you how he truly feels.
Yeah,
he doesn't tell anybody.
He gets weirded out, and he's like backs up, and he's like, oh, and he says a joke or whatever.
Yeah, he comes off as like this really tough, like I don't give a f type person, but he actually is the opposite.
He's the most sensitive of the three, I would say.
He truly cares about what everybody thinks. So if his dad says something, he'll just be like, okay, I'm gonna side with my dad. And then if his dad's not there and his other siblings are there and they're putting pressure on him, be like, okay, I'm gonna go that way. You know, he doesn't know where to stand on anything. Anyways, phenomenal show.
It just ended, by the way. So I can attest to also the fact that it ended in a satisfying way. Like it ended in a way that I was like, yes, thank you.
Okay.
I hate when there's a finale and you're like, I mean, at least the ride was fun. You know, there was none of those feelings. Like I felt the ending was actually quite perfect and very memeable. Like there's a lot of memes that have come out of it in a very surprising way. There's actually 2 other shows that just ended too, and I'll just get into those since we're on Succession. But Barry and Ted Lasso just ended as well.
Ted Lasso.
I finished Barry too. I'm done with Barry as well.
Oh, nice, awesome. Yeah, I love that finale, dude. It was not super bold. Like I've seen bolder finales and some of them are missteps, but like there were definitely some surprises that I was like,
I want to say this. I didn't like the last season as a whole. Like I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it. But the finale, the way it ended was satisfying for me because I was like, yep, that was good. That was good.
I circled back and nailed the ending. Yeah.
I really like the ending.
And Ted Lasso is, I mean, for anybody that just wants a show with a good heart and it's not very cynical and stuff, and it feels, I think Kyle has said this many times before, it feels like a warm hug of a TV show, which is really corny or whatever, but sometimes we need corny, you know?
Yeah, sometimes
you know what? I might need a hug after I finish Succession.
Yeah, Succession? Go from Ted Lasso to Whiplash.
As brutal as I try to be, I would struggle to survive in that family because
their dad is
Ted Lasso feels like when your dad tells you he's proud of you, and that's what Ted Lasso feels like.
Every episode.
It's a good antithesis of Succession.
Oh, good.
Whereas Succession is like you're constantly looking for that approval, and you're
literally fuck off.
Yeah, you're really telling you to fuck off.
You are not serious people.
I just love it. I love it when they give them any news. They'll be like, the FBI's outside. Fuck off! Tell them to fuck off. You can't tell the FBI to fuck off.
Yeah, no, you can't.
You can't do that. They don't fuck off. They stay there. And he's like,
they're at
tell them to fuck off.
But even with Barry, like I would agree that the last season was not my favorite. I think season 3 was my favorite. It was just it had just some of my favorite episodes that they've ever done. Period. Of Barry. But I still recommend the entire thing. The entire thing all together.
I think as a whole, it's a fun, good show.
Yeah.
Because I saw the third act, like it's bold in itself. Just the amount of time jumps and everything. I don't want to go too far into it for people who haven't seen it yet, but just the amount of stuff that's going on in that season.
Yeah.
Like it like, oh, okay, well they actually went for stuff. You know, they weren't trying to make it clean at the end, or they weren't bumbling around and stuff like that. So like I at least appreciate them going for it. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the whole ride was awesome, I thought. So
yeah, good show. Any other quick hits for you, Kyle? I think everybody else has kind of touched on there.
Barry and Ted Lasso, still playing Zelda, you know, and outside of that, that's really it. But yeah, I thought, please go watch some TV, guys. There's with Succession and the 2 shows that I was talking about, like they're all there's a lot of good TV that just wrapped up. So if you're waiting for things to finish so you can watch everything all at once, like you got 3 great shows you can do that with now.
Exactly.
So.
Well, now's the perfect time. Like for me, I'm a sports watcher, and basically all my sports are done. Like everything's done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think I'm gonna be canceling my cable and stuff like that. Well, not cable. I use YouTube TV. Canceling YouTube TV, and I think I'm just gonna stick to streaming shows and stuff like that.
Well, I wanted to mention there's a new season of I Think You Should Leave that's out, and I don't know if
I watched it too.
I don't know that it's for anybody else other than Kyle and I, because the humor is very out there sometimes, in a very dumb way. It's one of the dumbest comedy shows you can possibly think of, but I know that Kyle and I just got so many laughs out of it.
Yeah, it's
I've watched
sketch
it twice
comedy,
already.
and it's of like the Eric Andre variety.
It's like the Eric Andre, very non sequitur. It starts in a very real place, a very socially awkward situation, and then it goes way outside the box like Eric Andre does with all of his stuff. Like
it devolves into like insanity and people screaming, and
there's
it's probably
there's
a big
only one
for a lot
to
of
me
people.
that was like a relatable sketch was the Pay It Forward drive-through. Like that was like a more relatable version of I Think You Should Leave, whereas everything else is kind of nutty. That and the Don't Talk About Your Kids sketch, that was a little relatable too. But the drive-through one where he's like, I'm gonna start. You know what? I'm gonna pay for the guy behind me. Okay, how about that? And then he speeds around.
So he can get
speeds around the drive-through. Like 55 hot dogs, 55 burgers, 55. He like starts ordering. So the person in front of him pays his like $600 tab, and the guy catches him. Like he turns around and he's like, "You're the guy that paid for my meal. I know what you're doing." And he's like, and he's in the car looking ahead, like, "Hey, what's going on?" And he honks the horn a little bit. "Oh man, what's going on up there?" Like,
yeah,
it's so dumb.
It's good, but it's a hard recommend for sure.
Yeah, it's tough. And also, tough. Attack on Titan season 4.
Yeah, dude.
Pretty much done. I'm on the last episode. I just haven't watched it yet because it's subbed, and I love being subbed so much. Yeah. It's so good.
Man, I actually need to catch up. Then I haven't even.
Dude, man, you really do. Yeah. Holy crap! Where did you leave off? Because
well, I started the 4th season, but then when I started hearing like, oh yeah, no, like we're not actually done here, because like I thought it was like they were gonna like start season 4.
Well, when you call something the final season, it kind of insinuates.
And then you split it in 4 parts.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna be 2 movies and 6 seasons, and it's like Jesus.
Yeah.
Christ,
so the second I heard part 2, I was like, are you effing kidding me right now? Like, so I stopped.
Yeah, but the landscape of every character pretty much changes pretty dramatically in season 4. Like at the start of it,
it's a little jarring.
Kyle made sure to mention this to me several times, like, and this is good advice for anybody that starts the show. Don't look anything up about season 4. You're going to be a little confused starting out.
Go along for the ride, man.
And if you go along for the ride, you will be rewarded, and you'll start to connect the
movie is not so, or the show's not so heady where like you're like, well, I don't get what's going on. Like at some point, the show will stop and go, okay, so. Blah blah blah, and like it'll explain itself.
There'll be like 2 or 3 flashback episodes.
You just have to get there. Yeah.
You're getting like all that lore dump at the end of season 3, which like if you paid attention, you get kind of what's going on when then there's at the start of season 4, like where they are. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. You have to use a lot of context clues. But if you miss it, if you miss the boat, the show will stop at some point and go, all right, are we all caught up? Which I like. I like that.
It's one of those things where like
Evangelion. Evangelion's like, oh, you didn't understand that? Well, that's too bad because we're moving on.
Too bad. Look it up. Wikipedia.
Yeah,
exists.
Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Take a college
Attack on
class
Titan
about
does that
themes.
thing where like you can connect the dots early on, where like a character quotes something from another character, and you're like, oh, or you can wait and they'll just explicitly tell you in the next episode like what's happening.
Sure.
Like, so I mean, you'll figure it out, or the show will just spell it out for you. Either way, but yeah, still one of the best shows like ever. Period. It's like anime or not, doesn't matter. It's just so good.
Agreed.
It's such a fun concept. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so well done. You know.
Yeah.
I can't sing enough praise. We're eventually going to do, whenever the show wraps up completely. We'll probably just revive Dan's podcast of the Chocobo Central and just do a spoiler cast on the whole
thing. Throw a spoiler cast on the thumbnail and whatever. But yeah, I need to then start watching season 4 so I can catch up. So
all of us will be catching up at that point. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but I think that's in the fall or whatever. So we have some ways to go. But that's all. Yeah. That's all I have. That's all I had left.
Word.
All right, let's shut the show down. The only thing I'll add real quick, because as you guys were talking about Hulu, I forgot that I did finish the Hillsong.
Oh, nice! The final
documentary. And that the only reason why I'm bringing it up, I would normally not bring it up, but that like actually hit me pretty hard because I watched the first 2 episodes. It was all about the main pastor in the New York campus and his affairs.
Carl
multiple
Lentz
affairs.
Like
yeah,
that.
Carl Lentz. And I've watched Carl Lentz before. I knew who he was. I actually had one of his sermons saved when I was going through one of my hard times that I went back to because it would help me. It was a really good sermon. But he went through some difficult times. But I was like, okay, that's fine. But they were kind of like leaking out like there's more. And that's when I watched episodes 3 and 4, which really come down. Now, here's why I'm going to say I appreciate this. Please understand, first of all, I'm a Christian. Second of all, I have been listening to Hillsong worship music for 20 plus years. They're one of my favorite, like, not my favorite band because I like metal music, but like they're my favorite worship band. So they mean a lot.
There's a reason they got mainstream. It's because it's genuinely good.
It's good stuff. Yeah. And especially Joel Houston, who's actually the son of everybody I'm going to talk about soon. So he's like their main writer, and he's like my favorite like worship writer. But anyway, so they start leaking out like more information about Brian, which is Joel Houston's father. He's the main pastor. Well, not now, but he was. And then before him was his father, which was Fred or Frank.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, it's an F name. Yeah,
it's an F. He was effing somebody. He's effing a lot of people. And so they start leaking out information about them. And this stuff about Brian, I knew about. His father, I did not know about.
Oh, you
and here's what I wanted to say.
Me neither until I watched the show. Really.
Clearly, they were trying to they had an agenda with this show, which was to put a light on this church that's humongous. They make millions and millions of dollars, right? And I went into it with a certain bias of like they're just gonna do this because they hate Christians, they hate religion, and sure, maybe that is what they were doing. But what I appreciated about it was fact. A lot of it was facts based, meaning they had already dug up this information, and then you actually hear Brian go, "Yeah, this happened. My dad did this," and so basically the reports came out that his father had molested at least 13 boys, and there's probably more because he was actually a traveling pastor.
And it was decades ago too. So
yes, this is a long time ago because Brian's like 60 or something years old, and his dad's dead. His dad's now dead. So there's a lot of information that came out that I was just like, this is disgusting. Like, this makes me angry. Now I can understand why people that aren't even Christians, who don't go to churches, absolutely hate churches, because this type of stuff that is happening in a lot of these churches.
I swear, like once a week,
but definitely.
I have some friends that once a week we rage about Catholic Church as an institution, because there's always some headline that's like they're still doing this. You know, and it's easy to rage out about that.
I bash Catholics all the time, so you never offend me with that. I mean, I bash Christians too, but like it was more of like this is harder for me to. It was a hard pill for me to swallow because of like my history with it, and I was like, I'm not going to sit here and act like this isn't real. I'm going to believe that these guys really did pull up this evidence, and the fact that Brian couldn't come out, and now he's still going through the legal issues, but the fact that Brian couldn't come out,
he could face jail time. Yeah, he
couldn't deny this stuff, because at first I wanted to be like, oh well, maybe he didn't know he needed to go public, but then stuff he had said and things he had done in the past, I'm like, no, this guy's just dirty. Like, he's protecting the image of the church because he's protecting money, and that is the opposite of who Jesus was. So it's absolutely disgusting. And so, anyways, I just wanted to comment on that. I know a lot of viewers are probably like, who cares? But it meant a lot to me. And it was hard for me to watch because I was just like, well, where do I stand on this? Do I like stop listening to these guys? Like, I just saw them in concert last year. Joel Houston was there. And he even said in the show, he didn't go into details, but he just said, we were advised not to go on this tour, but we feel like it's the best thing for us as a group. And I think he was just talking about the people on stage to go on this tour because we need this. So it's really hard for a hard pill to swallow, but
I can only imagine. And I'll vouch for your feelings on the first 2 episodes. When they rolled credits after the second episode, I was like, so that's kind of it, is like, we're here. It's a lot of hearsay from people of like, well, I didn't feel valued.
Yeah, I didn't care
or
about that.
Stuff like that.
I like the fact-based stuff that was later.
Or Carl being caught having extramarital affairs and stuff like that, which is, yes, that's bad when you're a leader of a church, obviously.
Yeah. Bad in general,
but
yes,
church.
I get what you're saying, yeah.
But like, that was like a barely scratching the surface. The last 2 episodes are like, really
want
nailing
something dirty.
Yeah, exactly.
Dirty.
Yeah,
and like,
and that makes Carl look like a saint compared to the rest.
And they do the genius thing of like making it seem like it's all hearsay. Like, it's just, well, these are what people were believing were happening, and I was like, here we go. This is all this is gonna be. Yeah. It's bitter people that left the company that are now bashing him. But then the facts start coming out. Well, it is. It's just a business.
It's just funny.
But the facts start coming out, and I'm like, oh no, thank you. I'm glad you made this, and it's facts based. Like, that's important to me, and not just feelings based. So I thought it was great.
And also, we'll probably never see. Not that it's like a huge reckoning or anything. The church is still doing moderately well, not as big as they were, but still moderately well.
Yeah, they're
taking hits. Australia has different, let's say, standards. They have different standards when it comes to how churches behave. So that's who the church Hillsong is answering to, and that's why Brian is in so much legal trouble. Whereas here it would just be like, or in the Catholic Church, for example, it would just be like, just transfer him somewhere else, like, and it would be no big deal. It's just there's a different standard over there, which I respect completely.
I personally, after all the information that came out, I think he needs to be held accountable, and I think the church needs to be held accountable. And yeah, absolutely.
I'm glad we closed it with a real. That was the realest show I've ever gotten.
Yeah, Debbie Downer. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. This was episode 170. We're all going to log off and go play Diablo 4.
Yes.
Bye.